by the way, it's so important for a woman to be able to cook and care for your home. Like, if I built $1 million business and my home was chaotic, I would not be happy.
And you see it every day.
Correct. So there is a disorder. We as women need to be trained how to master our homes. Our homes should be a refuge to our children. I ask my children periodically, do you love home? Why? Because that's a mirror to how I'm raising my children. If a woman doesn't know how to manage her mind, manage her emotion, how does she actually create peace in her home? The most dangerous woman, I believe, is a woman who is undisciplined emotion.
January,
Sure.
welcome to
Thank
the podcast. This is going to be a really good one because this one hits home for me because of what you are doing in the world of being able to provide women a course, a class, a mentorship on how to become a woman. You're a mom of 8.
Mom of 8.
Mom of 8. You have built a very successful multi-million-dollar company.
Yes.
You've been married for 19 years, if I remember correctly.
Blissfully. Great marriage.
Which is an accomplishment.
Yes,
So
it
kudos
is.
to you and your husband for that. And you're an all-time, you got a bestseller.
Yeah, 2-time best-selling author.
So you've done a lot. You come with some boxes that are checked, but before we get started, the Sour Bee, we get to send you home with
So
a
excited.
fresh baked loaf of bread that the girls are pumping out daily now, it seems.
So good.
So we want to be able to send you home with that. I'm sure most of it probably won't make it home. You'll be on the plane. And
I
you'll
will
start-
be eating half of it. I would just say I'm a good eater.
That is our raspberry
My
white chocolate.
children
so-
love a good sourdough.
Good. They're gonna love this one. So I want to dive into this conversation, and I'm really excited about it because of me being a girl dad. And
Great girl, Dad.
thank you. One of my biggest missions in life is to be able to put out quality daughters and young women into the world one day, and it's not an easy thing to do. But I feel with now it's been happening for a long time, but the way that the world and our political environment is going feminist wise and even on the male side of things of demasculating men, it's a crazy world. And as a father and a dad, I get to see it from a different perspective of what my daughters are going to be dating and eventually marrying. And it's terrifying. And so what you are doing is providing a resource on how to create a woman and teach a woman how to be a woman. And obviously we're going to go more into depth of this because there's so many levels of what you're doing. So why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of a snapshot of who you are, what you are, and then we'll just dive right into it.
Yeah. Well, I've been training women for 25 years, primarily because I really didn't know how to be a woman and I suffered for it. Depression, anxiety, and not because my mom wasn't a good mom. It's just that it was a different generation.
Okay.
Technology changed the way we communicated. So many of us need to learn skills that our parents didn't know, could have not taught us. And so I just started training women, and I had a mentor. First year in college, I had a mentor named Elena. She was a mentor to all these women. It was first month in college. And she met with all these women, and I met her my first month, and she said, January, what kind of woman do you want to be? And I remember looking at her Bama and saying, you don't have a choice, Elena. And said, yes, you do. Let's design you. And I met her every single month for 3.5 years. Every single month, I had homework. I had to give her 1 page back to back. My first homework was to make my bed as soon as I get up before you go to the bathroom. My second homework was to get up every morning at 4:30 to study myself, to pray, to exercise. By the time 7 o'clock was done, I was ready to contribute to the world. That was part of my homework. The third homework was to get rid of comparison and competition because I was lonely. So every single week, she trained me with skill after skill after skill. That changed my life forever.
Really? How old were you?
I was probably 18 or 19.
So let's back up. Where did it all start? Where are you from?
Grew up in the Philippines.
Okay.
I was 7 years old when my parents left legally to come to America. They had a business there that was successful. My first earliest years was in the slums of the Philippines. I loved it. No clothes, no shoes, no problem. But it was a rich life.
Yep.
It was simple. But they wanted something better. They came to America because America was the American dream. And so they left us. We didn't see them for 5 years straight.
Really?
Can you imagine leaving your daughter for
No,
5 years straight? Exactly.
not.
I can't even dare the thought of it.
fathom
But
that.
that's what immigrants need to do for the American dream.
Okay.
And so that's what they did. I didn't see them for 5 years, but never for 1 second was I resentful. Number one, because I knew it was for a purpose. The American dream was worth the tears. And by the way, it was $1,000 for a phone call for an hour at that time. I was 7
Really?
years old. Yes, there was no like FaceTime.
Yep.
I remember my parents crying on the phone, and they had a business there that was successful, but a third world country, you know, it's a lot of corruption. They came here to be nannies, and essentially they had nannies in the Philippines, but met a billionaire. My parents were very generous. Met a billionaire, kind of adopted them and adopted us to a point that after I was 11, my parents came home legally and brought all of us. She built an extension of our mansion, $5,000 shopping spree on a consistent basis. She was so generous.
Really?
I know, it was a very unusual situation.
Yeah.
But I came in here with a lot of insecurities as being Filipino, but with a lot of hope of what the American dream is. So I think my story is coming from a deep appreciation for a difficult, challenging life, sacrifice, and just deep gratitude for what America has done to my family.
You say you came with insecurities. What built insecurities coming to the US?
So in the Philippines, just the way I was raised, and I think there is sort of, a lot of Americans probably don't know this, but you don't understand that we have built up the West, sort of the, you know, kind of like the dream, right? And so as a woman in the Philippines, I was trained to believe that you were never beautiful as a Filipino or as beautiful as an American. So when I came to the United States, ma'am, I just remember thinking, like, no man would ever like me. Like, no, I mean, I was 11, you know, and so I thought, I will never get married because Filipinos are never going to be as beautiful as Americans.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, leaving my crush, I'm like, maybe that's the last guy who would ever like me. And so I came in with just this insecurity that I was never going to be good enough. But it was all internal. Like, it's not one of those things you talk to somebody about.
Okay.
The first guy that I had a crush on me that was like, you know, American, I remember like shocked and in tears. And the first guy that ever said, you know, he liked me and wanted to sort of court me, I was like, I better sign up for this. It's the only guy that's ever going to like me.
So you're feeling you just got lucky at this point, and you
Yeah,
have to
I
jump
did,
on this
yeah.
opportunity.
At this point, let's get dive into it. So I was, I think 13 or 14 when I first had, it was the only relationship I had. Granted, when I came from the Philippines, I was still playing tag at 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My life was innocent, you know. I remember the first day I went to school, 6th grade, Jessie, they're both Jessie, in my locker room, and I'm pretty short, but they were shorter than me, kissing next to me in the locker. I was shocked. It's 6th grade, you know, and like, I'm like, I've never heard it. Like, I had a crush in the Philippines. I never even talked to them, you know, like it was just this innocence. And so I was thrusted into this American world. And I always remember thinking of all these sexual things I was learning. I was like, whoa, like, is this real? You know, at 6, you know, and so anyways, I started dating this guy, only guy that I thought would ever like me at 13 years old. And I was sort of very ordered. Like, I would see him once a week, but it was still the only guy that I thought would like me. And so let's just dive right in. I'm going to just dive in. So 16 years old, my only sexual encounter, I get pregnant.
Really?
Yes. I didn't even know that you could get pregnant, to be honest. Like, typical kind of like immigrant family, like, it's not how you talk about it. Like, this is how, you know, your sexuality is how you get pregnant. Like, they were good parents, but they were busy trying to earn a living.
Mm-hmm. Well, and at the same time, your mom and dad are still in the Philippines.
No, they're here now.
Well, I'm saying they're in that mindset.
Oh,
of
correct.
how they grew up.
Yes, you're
They
right.
don't realize how advanced
Yes.
our culture is when it comes to sexualizing everything. So they're not sitting you down at this
No.
point and like, hey,
No.
this
no.
is...
No, there was no birds and the bee stuff.
Okay,
But
so-
I think that's probably a lot, of
100%,
generational. Like, there was not a
100%.
lot of conversation. And they were good parents, you know, did the best I could. They also struggled in their marriage.
Okay.
So that was a really big, huge wound. So there's a lot of insecurities in every level. I was close to my dad at that point, and, you know, but still, like, he was a great dad, but I don't necessarily think that we talked about some of these things. So anyways, I get pregnant at 16. I had no faith. I'd gone to Catholic school in the Philippines, so I learned how to pray.
Okay.
But it was very intimate. I didn't have formation. I didn't know what sort of morals were. There was just no guidance. And so I went to my guidance counselor, and she said, January, you're 16. You're the president of the school, or vice president at that point. I kind of, adapted really well. She's like, you need to get an abortion. I had no idea what abortion was.
Really?
Honestly, I'm looking at the 16-year-old January. I was innocent, man. Like, I have a 16-year-old daughter, And so she said, you have to get an abortion. She showed me. I still can see it. Mrs. Pierce was her name. She gave me where to go.
This is your counselor at school?
This is my counselor. And here's a big part of it. The reason I wanted to break up with this guy. I wasn't into him. I dated him because he liked me. I had such a low self-worth. A woman who has a low self-worth has eternal consequence. Like, I had an abortion because I didn't have self-worth. But compounding that, I did not have any skill to say no to him. I wanted to break up with him. I felt bad. I didn't know how to say no to him. I didn't know how to make a decision. I didn't know how to manage my mind, my emotions. So many of the things I was deprived, just knowing how, I couldn't say no to this guy. So I get pregnant, have my abortion, and it was obviously traumatizing. I have had decades of healing, and life is so important to me. I obviously have 8 children, but I just didn't know. And so 3 months later, in the process of trying to basically break up with this guy, I get pregnant again. And I had my second abortion. And to be honest, I'm like, when a woman has an abortion, you literally become a walking zombie. And you think everything is wrong, but you can't trace it back to that's the reason why. Every part of you is ripped physically, emotionally, mentally, but I had no words to explain it. And so I sort of suffered in silence. I didn't tell anyone. I had one friend that I told. And honestly, that was the reason why a friend of mine invited me to sort of like a youth retreat.
Okay.
I was so broken. And in the meantime, I was so disgusted with myself. I pulled away from all my friends. Meanwhile, I was homecoming queen in junior year.
Really?
But none of those were like, I was empty. I was just empty. So it didn't even matter to me. I pulled away from all my friends. My friends couldn't understand it. I went to this retreat and I think fell in love with the Lord, but I didn't even know who he was. But I was so confused. I was so lost. I remember my parents lost their job. So imagine they were, they were working for a billionaire. Literally, I was driving a Suburban at 16. Like, money was never an issue. Like, I got a Rolex at 16. I didn't even know what a Rolex was. There was so much wealth, but I was so empty. And there was so much sort of external achievements. I was so empty inside. And so when I sort of found kind of this relationship with our Lord, I thought, what is this? Like, there's something that I'm aching for. And my parents lost their job overnight. From hundreds of $1,000s they were making to a mansion to everything, we had to move into this only house that they bought as an investment into one room. All 5 children, 3 kids, parents, everything to nothing in one day. So I was so confused. And meanwhile, I was suffering with my abortion. So literally, it was like the rug was ripped out.
Did your parents know? Did you keep it from your parents?
My parents did not know. My parents knew later on, maybe when I was like 22, 23. And even
so
then, I don't.
You have nobody. I mean, you're just, so now you're just
Yeah.
figuring life out.
On my own.
On your own.
By the way, that's most women.
Oh, 100%.
So I was on my own. And so no mentor. And so I remember turning my TV into an altar. I remember never going out on Friday nights. I remember my friends were like, are you becoming a nun? And I was like, I was just so empty, but I didn't know why. I didn't go to my senior prom. And I think at that point, I was like, is there more to life than just sort of like, I never drank, I never smoked. It was just not my thing. And so I would see my friends get wasted. And I remember thinking, I never want to be that out of control of like, it was just unattractive to me. At the same time, because I was raised in the Philippines, there's a deep reverence for women. So I knew how to present myself as a woman in a sense that I respected men. Even though I sort of didn't respect myself, I learned that. I learned to, like, you don't criticize men. You honor guys. It was that part of me that came from the Philippines.
Okay.
And I think because of that, I did develop some good friendships with boys, and there was just a lot of things I just didn't know how, and I suffered for it, which is really the reason why, to me, the women's school is so important, because I was the woman who no one showed how, the good girl that suffered decades of anxiety, stress, low self-worth, abortion. That's the lowest part of the woman. The worst sort of experience, which, by the way, so much of the feminists is like, look, I had my abortion. We can talk about that later on. But I was so empty. And so that's when I went to college, when I met Elena. I was such a broken woman. When she said, January, give me your homework 10, I'll do 20. Whatever she said, I did it. Because my wound became the compass towards my purpose.
Okay.
And that was what I think the reason for the women's school. I do what I do because I was the woman who nobody showed her. But fast forward, the training that I received from Elena, which was, by the way, like, it was discipline. That's what it was. You know, I have an incredible marriage. I have 8 children after 2 abortions. My children are thriving. I love the life I'm living. I've built, obviously, a successful business. Like, women want that. They just don't know how to achieve it. And that is my purpose. Is that I felt like God was saying, January, you can't just bask in this beautiful life after I've taken you out of the darkness. You have to get this back. And so it's been a labor of love. 25 years. I did it for free for 15 years. I didn't charge a dime. I realized, yeah, it was a ministry to me, but I realized women don't pay, they don't pay attention.
Got it. That's everybody.
Yes. And so 6 years ago, we started the women's school. It went to 40 countries overnight, pretty much. It was 3 years. We built a multi-million-dollar business to thousands of students. I think because there was a hunger for depth. What we had was sort of this feminist movement who was, just not fulfilling women, good women. But it was just this kind of radical. But then you also have this sort of feminine movement, which was advertised as sort of flimsy, kind of like external, like, flowers. It was so much more than that. And what we offered was women of excellence. How do you develop skill after skill after skill? How do you live out the art of being a woman? Why can't you be the masterpiece that God designed you to be? How do you become that? And so that's really what, to me, is the root cause of so much of the crisis in our culture is there's no how. Whether it's masculinity or femininity, we're just not shown how. And we suffer decades. Lives we don't love, we're not living because nobody showed us how. And that was my pain.
Okay. So I guess if we're going to dive into this, and you specialize in making women, bringing out the most excellent version of themselves.
In a world that can no longer define what a woman is.
So why don't you define what a woman is? What do you feel a woman is?
It's just an adult female. It's really quite simple. This is really interesting because I've been training women for 25 years. And I remember the day when the whole transgender movement came, I thought, I've never had to define what a woman is. It's never been, it's common sense. Like with all the things that I've had to thought of building a business, I never thought our lawyer comes to us and say, Jenny, you have to put 20% away for lawyers because now that the transgender movement is surfacing, you have to let men in the school. And I said, how can I let a man in the school? I don't teach a man. But if they define as a man, then we would shut down the women's school because
it ruins everything that you stand for.
Yes, first of all, like I don't teach men. Like I have no authority to teach men, nor do I have authority to teach trans women. But now there's no objective truth. Women, what it means to be a woman is a feeling. And part of it is because we live in a society that has no longer a moral compass. So your truth, my truth, whose ever truth today, whatever I feel like.
Yeah. And
so we really are living sort of the byproduct of a culture that is subjective, that is immoral. And now we are seeing chaos, internal chaos, by the way. Like we're seeing, obviously, the politics chaotic outside. You as a father who are like, how do I send my beautiful daughter who I just want to protect, rightfully so. But at the end of the day, interiorly, like men and women are in a chaos because they don't know their value. They don't know who they are. We're not training them. And what's out there is fluff.
I see so many of these young girls, and I feel the biggest problem that they have is lack of self-worth. Yeah. Because you see how quick they cling to the first male figure that comes into their life. Yeah. And it just consumes them.
And, yeah, that was me.
And so like where did the whole cultural shift start? Because obviously there's been a lack of this for a while. When did you, through all your research, studying, whatever it was, where did us as a country start to get divided? When did this start?
Okay, so we can start. there, although I really want to touch on the self-worth. So just a quick kind of history, right? Feminism essentially started in late 1800s, 1900s, rightfully so. There was an injustice. There was, women did not have equal opportunity for college. Certain jobs women could not have. You couldn't be a doctor, lawyers. There was limitations. It could still work, but there were just limitations. There was not equality, right? It was not equal pay. And so that was an essentially a noble movement in some degree. Others would say it's not good, but, we should, in my opinion, is that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that movement. So that was sort of the initial movement. In the 60s, it turned quite drastically. And I would say that the feminist movement, the second wave feminist movement, which first fought for equality, right, was now infused with Marxist, where it's victor kind of mentality, oppressor, oppressed. And so that then also compounded with this 1960s, like what's what we call the me movement. Me. It was sort of like, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I feel like. And it then kind of evolved and it really became a monster, because now from this world of me, now you've got the third wave of feminism was all about social, kind of social equality, which it has obviously some form of good, but it has morphed actually to this idea that equality is not actually equal. It's actually, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Equality is no longer we're equal. It means that I don't need you. So it quickly became, I want equality, which is obviously right, but we're not the same.
Absolutely not.
And I think we're coming to this point of this conversation, I think now in history, where we're actually starting to talk about the difference of male and female. But then equality then gave way to very wounded, I would say, feminists who became very loud voices that basically said, we don't need men anymore. We can be like men. And not only do we become like men, the future is now female. It's a very illogical, by the way, kind of, if you think about it logically, it's all feeling based. And here's also an important factor of it. When you study a lot of the feminist, I would say, heroes, and you go deep down into their personal life, the fathers were gone. There was a lot of internal chaos. So they were so loud voices, but they were not healthy inside. But they became sort of the feminist icons.
Well, you look at these feminist icons or just the feminist movement in general, and I look at it as an outsider, obviously not supporting any of it. None of them look happy.
Yeah.
They're always miserable, short-haired. They look like shit. Screaming creatures is how I would describe like a true feminist. And here, as an outsider, I'm looking in like, why would I want to follow this group of women that are just the most ratchet, vile, support abortions, screaming from rooftops of how many children they've murdered in their bodies? Like, what is driving women toward that? Is it loneliness? Is it just a lack of purpose? I mean, why would any woman, being the most incredible creature to ever walk this planet, it is God's greatest creation is a woman, in my opinion. You guys bring life to this earth. There's nothing greater on this planet than being able to bring a life onto it.
Yeah.
What is drawing women to want to be a feminist?
I think they're unfulfilled. And let me break this down. Okay. So in the women's school, we talk about a fulfillment formula. In order to be truly fulfilled, you need three important factors.
Okay.
You need a vision and a dream. Okay. So women who don't have a vision of their life and a dream that they're chasing after, that's causing them to actually become a better version of themselves. Like if you want to build something, like you have a dream, you're pursuing something, you have somewhere to go. Okay. So there's an aim. Number two, women are unfulfilled because they're not designing every part of their life. What do I mean by that? In our culture, we talk so much about fame, fortune. The metric of a woman's value today is based on how much money she makes, her body, your positions of power, right?
Social status.
Exactly. Yeah. Social status. It's all external, right? But what we're not seeing is, how does a woman design every arena of her life where she's mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually healthy? She understands herself as a wife, as a mother, if that's what she's called to. There's friendship. We're not teaching women how to design every part of her life. Like that, when you look at women who are unfulfilled, they might be making a lot of money, but they're unfulfilled in their marriage.
For sure.
They're unfulfilled mothers. Their children are a wreck. Their home life is chaotic. It's not home. So we're not actually giving the whole version of the woman. So there's a dream, designing every arena of your life. And the third part is that women are not developing to become a better version of themselves. What do I mean by that? Women who have no sense of purpose have no need to say, today I'm going to get up and study. Today I'm going to learn something different. Today I'm going to discipline myself to do something greater than what I think I'm possible. Nobody's pushing them. So they're unfulfilled, which, by the way, I think unfulfilled women can wreak havoc in society because they're bored. And when you actually look back into some of the 60s, we've got sort of a lot of data that says, well, boredom and women that were unfulfilled were the one that was marching and say, equality and, men are, the patriarch. They had money, enough money to take care of their family, but they had no purpose, which is a really dangerous combination.
Yes.
Because when a woman has no sense of purpose, what do they do with their life? It's really easy to find a purpose outside to solve somebody else's problem when you're internally in chaos, because that's a lot easier. Right. And so I think that's what happened is unfulfilled women who have no training, and let me just kind of break this down. So when you look at sort of, when you see the march, right, and you're looking at some of the feminists, like I've had abortion and, and they're fighting for something. When you go down to sort of personal level and I say, tell me what you love about who you are. What makes you admirable? Tell me what makes you valuable. Are you happy? It's really hard for them to answer.
I bet. Because if they were happy, what?
Correct.
You're not going to be... I would die on that hill if some feminist was like, I love my life. You just look at it and be like, do you?
Yeah, they don't know their life.
Because you've buzzed your head. You're 100 pounds overweight. You're screaming in the streets about equality and everything else. Like, are you truly happy? Because then if you take a happy wife that is home, her husband's coming home to whatever their dynamic may be. Clean home, dinner on the table, kids ready to rock and roll, greet their father as he walks in, and you look at that wife. Now, there's probably wives that live that scenario and are miserable. I completely get it.
We could talk about that as well.
But then you also have a huge demographic of them that's their purpose and that's their life, because that's what brings joy to them is to be able to provide for a home. Yeah. But then you ask a feminist, like, are they happy? It's crazy to me that it's a thing.
Well, it makes sense, actually, because they haven't prioritized the parts of themselves that actually make them a woman. Do you see what I mean? Like, we've advertised, like, in order to be a woman, then you've got to make the same money as a man. You've got to do everything that a man can do, but you have to silence parts of you. So equality actually really meant you need to be just like men. And so it was sort of this illogical argument that for feminists, I want equal rights for, just like men, by becoming like men. Because here's how you know it. The superhero. So there's many different angles we can talk about. So if you look at the feminist movement, right, intellectually, they hijacked a lot of institutions. As a matter of fact, I'm getting my master's on femininity. You cannot find a good school to learn about feminism that's not hijacked with propaganda, like college campuses, because they're all hijacked with gender studies that have false data that is actually by kind of like this, herd mentality. They have literally captured the academia. I mean, look at all the propaganda. Look at where all the movements are started. So it's false data, and we can sort of go into that. And so it's really kind of this small group of people who have permeated the top. But so you have that on the top, but it's trickled down to this boss babe.
I was going to ask you about your opinion on boss babe. Okay.
I'm going to go into it. But even like good women fall into this boss babe, and which the premise is actually quite prideful, right? Like, I'm a boss. Like, I run a company, but the idea of like pride, like, yeah, I'm the boss, is very repelling if you think about it. And the idea is sort of like, hey, look at me. A feminist walks in the room and say, look at me, I'm now here. A real woman walks in the room and says, I'm here to bring value to everyone else.
I love that.
Okay? Women don't know how to do that. Women don't even know what that looks like and what that feels like. Do you understand the fulfillment that a woman has when she knows her purpose in every room she walks into?
Yes. Like, and as a husband, watching your wife be able to command a room, be able to own a room in the most beautiful,
humble way.
Way. That's where I'm like, that's mine.
That's mine. Exactly.
I don't want to hear, I don't want to see the feminist side of things. Like, so as a man, I consider myself a fucking man. I would look at a feminist and be like, disgusting.
Yeah.
Like some woman that's in there loud, obnoxious, that everybody knows it's there. And then I'll look at my wife standing there having a conversation with whoever she needs to have and owning this conversation. That brings me pride as a husband, knowing my daughters can watch their mom be able to just command a room, but in the most humble, respectful way. Yeah. That to me is like the ultimate cool.
Can I break that down?
Absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, I would dare say that every man would want to be able to say what you just said. That's my wife. Like, tell me a man doesn't want that, right? But
if you don't, you need to find a new wife.
Sadly. But the truth is that in order for a man to be able to say, that's my wife, who does a woman need to become? Think about that. What does that look like? So I even, like the way you've described your wife to me, she is like a woman that inspires you, right? How many husbands can say, my wife inspires me? How many women are inspired? It goes back to, you need to dream you're chasing, because dreaming comes before discipline. How many undisciplined women are walking around?
All of them.
Discipline is attractive in a woman. And I'm going to talk about the most attractive thing, disciplined woman. But a woman who knows her value has no need to be like, look at me. Okay? A woman who knows that her value is actually a nurturer of humanity. Like, God designed our womb to, a man puts in, this seed, and we nurture it. A woman who doesn't understand that she gets married and her role is to nurture her spouse, then her children, her home, and then she can give outside her home. I mean, there needs to be order. God is a God of order. When you're living a disordered life, you're just going to be unhappy. Why? Because at the end of the day, we have to be in harmony with how God designed women. We are nurturers. We are equal, but we are made differently. And that needs to be celebrated. That needs to be the conversation. You cannot have a feminist movement that disempowers men and expect women to be happy. It's just never going to work. No. And here's the thing, because we have thousands of women, and the hardest thing that I have to actually tell women, they come to me and say, what about my husband? And I say, well, if your husband's not growing with you, you're growing apart. That's the truth.
It is.
Right. And so here's what I always tell women. If you don't know your value, and if you're not studying yourself every single day of your life, and if you're not studying your spouse, and if you're not studying your children, how can you truly love them? Love requires knowledge. And so how can a woman love the other if she doesn't love herself? How do you love yourself if you don't know yourself? So studying is a prerequisite. So when I talk about Elena, my mentor, I had to study myself, ma'am. I remember she said, Jane, one of your homework is to study men. Look at how men show up. Study how they talk. How can you talk? And I remember one of the trainings that I had, which is, okay, nurturers of humanity are women. We don't even talk about tonality. Let me give you an example. Yeah. I can say to you, hey, Vam, what's up? Yeah, sure. Or I can say, hey, Vam, how are you?
Right there, I would judge you two different ways. Correct. Personally. Correct. I would put you, what's up? And then if you came to me, the second version, it's much more of a, I don't want to say professional, but.
I would dare say that you feel like a man.
100%.
Okay. Not that men have language and this happens.
It feels better to have somebody address you like that. And that's, I'm sure it feels the same for a woman. Like, I address you as ma'am or however.
Yeah. There's a strength. Like, there's a strength that a man actually gives a woman that makes her feel like a woman. Like I always say, my husband, who I admire, I love, who's an incredible, humble man, the way he's loved me has given me freedom to be a woman. But that is so important to understand, because these women are fighting for freedom, right? Freedom, freedom, freedom. I'm like, what is freedom? Is it the freedom to do whatever you want to do, whenever you feel like, how many men you sleep? Or is it the freedom to choose your highest good? Because freedom without responsibility is anarchy. It's chaos. It's the same thing with women who like, I can sleep with whoever I want to, do whatever I want. I'm free. Are you really free? Are you really free when you're unhappy?
Are you trapped inside of your own body because you're miserable?
Yes, yes. And so that's why I think we have to kind of go back to the basic of where do we get women's self-worth? And I go back to, because this is important, because I think what you offer your daughter is irreplaceable. I train women that are 45 and 55 that's never experienced what you're giving your daughter. Okay. So a woman's self-worth, let's just step back. Every woman is valuable, just like every man is valuable.
100%.
Right? It's God's unique design. Every
100%.
human life is important.
No questioning that.
But how does somebody know their value? I don't wake up one day when I'm 3 or 4 and be like, I'm valuable. I know it. People have to be given evidence of their value.
How?
Right? A baby doesn't know she's valuable. It has to be revealed to her. So let me give you an example. So when a 4-year-old goes to the grocery store, right, and she's going with her mom, and you see beautiful woman, you see in the magazine. So literally, just like your daughter or my children learn through the process of repetition, language or a cup. This is what a cup looks like, right? Through the process of repetition, it's neurologically wired in her brain that that's what a cup is. So if she's going to the grocery store every single week and it says beautiful woman, skinny, tall, one-dimensional, so a beautiful woman is now defined in her subconscious mind just by passing by and learning how to read at the grocery store, right? So now her definition of what a beautiful woman is literally hardwired. Now, if you go home and you don't have a father that makes you feel beautiful, or you don't have a mother where you hear her say, I'm beautiful. And then you've got this girl also, they go to school and they're like, what makes you important is the grades, right? You're an A student. And then your popularity, and then how skinny you are, and then it's perfection. So our self-worth is revealed to us by the people around us. A girl doesn't know she's valuable, right? It's reinforced. So what do we see as valuable in our society today? Like, what's the metric of women's value, right? Perfection, your positions of power, how much money you make, all the things that are external. What happens is that a girl starts to believe that what makes her valuable is everything external. She does not grow up realizing that her value is unconditional. Nothing changes it. Now, here's where the father comes in. The father is what actually is so important in revealing a daughter's self-worth, right? Because if you make your daughter feel beautiful, she has no need to try to prove her beauty in somebody else. Well, you do it well.
Thank you.
But most men don't know how to make their daughters feel beautiful or their wives feel beautiful. So in the women's school, we talk about, we reveal our self-worth in 5 different ways, right? Acceptance. I accept you for you, your daughter.
So you're saying these are 5 traits that I should be
correct
teaching my daughters as the father of a household.
Well, these are, I would say, we call it the 5A.
Okay.
To basically help your daughter understand her self-worth.
Okay.
And the more you master this, the stronger your daughter's self-worth is. I accept you for who you are. You make a mistake, I accept you. Okay. A, I acknowledge you. You have to tell her. You have to talk to her. You're beautiful and I love you. Like, there needs to be verbal communication so that she hears you 100%. Say it, right? I appreciate you, right? I appreciate you for who you are. Like, the whole time we're talking, you talked about your daughter and how much you appreciate her. I mean, like, what a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift, right? But you, as a daughter, if I was your daughter, I'd be like, my dad appreciates me. I hear it. I feel it, right? Number 4, affection. Like, men need affection, women need affection, right? Absolutely. And so a daughter needs a dad's affection, that hug that knows I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm cared for. And the last thing, which, let's just talk about the basic here, because this, I think, grows incrementally, admiration. And most women don't even talk about this. Admiration, by definition, means I am in awe of who you are because who you are changes who I am in a way that it makes me a better person. And that's what you always tell me with your daughter. I'm like, oh, I'm inspired by her. So imagine a father doesn't know how to acknowledge her daughter, doesn't use language to make her feel beautiful or loved or appreciated, no affection, accepts her conditionally, when you are A.
We have to.
Yeah. or doesn't make her daughter feel admired. Because there's a great quote from Meg Meeker that says, every father loves her daughter, not every daughter feels loved by her father. And those things make the daughter feel loved. So now you are giving your daughter evidence of her value. She has no need to seek it elsewhere. But imagine if your daughter doesn't get this, the father doesn't know how to give it, the mother also has not received, doesn't have a strong self-worth, doubts her value. What's happening? We are raising children who go out to the world, OnlyFans is growing. We're going out to the world, and now all these girls who have no training at home, no father, no mother who believes her value, now she's wreaking havoc in society. Feminist movement comes in, women's power, I've got it. They're susceptible to propaganda.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
So as you explain the 5 A's and how important they are, I almost feel that this feminist movement, I don't want to use the word cult, but they're scooping up the vulnerable.
Oh, yes.
They're scooping up the
Absolutely.
lost. They're scooping up the broken, the sad. And so they're the victims. Some may not be, but this feminist movement is just the group that just pulls in all of them. Mm-hmm. I feel as a man, father to daughters, a true feminist movement would be pulling these women in and teaching them how to be happy. And to me, that's feminism, to watch a beautiful woman, no matter how they're created, to be able to love themselves, to be able to function in life and be happy. Joy, true joy. That to me, like I look at my daughters, I look at my wife, that's true feminism to me.
Should be.
They can climb a mountain with me. They can
hunt.
They can whoop ass. They can provide. They can work. They can teach, whatever it may be. And I look at my wife and daughter and like, that's feminism to me. But then I see everything that you're explaining to me. It's almost like they're capitalizing on the weak.
You're right.
Is the whole feminine movement.
Which is a Marxist tactic, right?
Okay.
The Marxist tactic is the oppressor and the oppressed. Okay. And so now you've got a feminist movement is men are the oppressor and women are the victim. I mean, honestly, women are the victim. You can go stat after stat after stat. Male and masculinity right now are being robbed of opportunities like never before. Men are actually in a deficit, and we can go down this route. And so what feminism did was stole masculinity.
For sure.
While they're unhappy.
Yes.
So it's just this convoluted movement, and
none of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense. But and here's the thing, like, to be honest, like, the good women have also signed up for it, the boss babe, right? And here's what I think, because I think that women are called to leadership in a way that's different than a male leadership. And, we have these gender stereotypes, and we get caught up in the gender stereotypes. Like, a woman cook and a husband. I'm like, I think, by the way, it's so important for a woman to be able to cook and care for your home. Like, if I've built $1 million business and my home was chaotic, I would not be happy.
And you see it every day.
Correct.
Every day.
So there is a disorder. I think that we as women need to be trained how to master our homes. Our homes should be a refuge to our children. I ask my children periodically, do you love home? Why? Because that's a mirror to how I'm raising my children.
100%.
But we need to look at our homes as a sacred, it's like a domestic church. And so here's the thing. If a woman, doesn't know how to manage her mind, manage her emotion, how does she actually create peace in her home? The most dangerous woman, I believe, is a woman who is undisciplined emotion. She wreaks havoc in her children and her husband. Why? Because she's so unstable. One day she's happy. And by the way, women make their emotional time of the month excuse to be undisciplined. I don't buy because I train women for a living. And I tell women, I said, I have 2 daughters and they're teenagers. I have 4 teenagers. And I say, your period is never an excuse for a lack of mind management, a lack of excellence. You are bigger than that. You have just given me an excuse that you're a victim to your emotion. I am not raising women who are victimized by their own emotion. Okay? And I tell them, I said, can you imagine if I came in here and one day I'm up, one day I'm down? I said, no, thank you. None of this sort of weak women that have wreaked havoc in society. A true strength in a woman comes from her interior life. She knows who she is because God designed her, but she's disciplined. She has a mental capacity to manage her thoughts, because how do you create a peaceful home when you're emotionally unstable? And here's just great fact. If a woman is unstable emotionally, that creates anxious children who are wreaking havoc in our society. 1 out of 3 are on anxiety drugs, antidepressant in college campuses. Let's trace it back to the home life. Was the mother and the father in command of their thoughts and emotion? Was there order in their home? I mean, we don't need studies after studies to kind of just see that the fruit of our culture is the feminist movement has sort of idolized victim mentality.
For sure.
And here's just kind of the rabbit hole. Emotion has become God. Emotions are so powerful. They are so strong. A daughter feels loved. But if you abuse emotion and it becomes a God, because untamed, undisciplined, now we are changing pronouns because I feel like a girl today or I feel like a cat. And here's where you see it. We have an education system that has become so feminized because women by design have more, estrogen, rightfully so, and men have, testosterone, and that does make them more intuitive. They have more emotional sort of intelligent capacity. That's the way God designed it. But if you don't know how to discipline it, right? Now we have an education system that's heavily women, and I don't know how disciplined their emotions are, but we can see by the fruit. Now, our education system is feminizing boys. And we have American Psychological Institute have basically said that male masculinity is toxic. We've created this world where women's emotion are running our culture. And now we are saying that men, right, who are sort of traditional, like, men being stoic, like, men should be able to cry and emotion, like my husband express emotion, but we shouldn't be sort of a victim to every emotion. Like, I want a strong man. Like, damn, I don't want my husband to be like crying at every little thing, but he is capable.
I 100% feel that's healthy.
Yeah, yes. It's healthy. But what we're seeing right now is like men should be able to cry. And by the way, like clothing in men, how that impacts actually their psychology, that we have studies on it. We have magazines like Harry Styles. It's like men should be able to dress in heels and men should be able to dress. I'm like, when are we going to see that this is not working? Well, we're actually starting to see it. The thing that the feminist movement in the last 3 years, it exposed their lies. It exposed the illogical, I would say, just this movement that was so, I don't want to say the word evil, but sometimes I'm tempted to, because I think they're good. And here's why, because I think that every woman needs training, and when you're untrained, you are susceptible to propaganda. That's why. So I want have access. I want to give women access. Those that are not living, happy lives, to have access to training.
They might not be evil, but the movement's evil.
I think it's become actually quite evil. And you think about it in a sense that the feminist movement is so fixated on this victim mentality, which I think is evil, and I think it's biblical. This idea that we are a victim. And I tell women, if you live your life as a victim, you will never be happy.
But if you took the amount of men that can use the same excuse, we just shut the fuck up and go on with our life and start providing for our families. Yeah. You don't think every single dude walking around has been through something? But now we've made it so soft that I'm grateful that everybody has a voice now. I want my daughters to have a voice whenever they need it. But now it's like it's the loudest are heard, and now these women are just bitching about everything. Meanwhile, these men are sitting back like, yep, okay, that happened to me. Well, life goes on. Yeah. Yeah. And now it's just then they fixate on it, and they fix it, and that's it. And then their whole persona, their whole image, everything that being a boss babe is built around this being a victim, because now they're getting attention.
Correct. Yeah. And it goes back to your self-worth. You never got attention. So now I'm living for attention.
Yep. And now that they get a little taste of it because they're screaming, they're loud,
But
it's so wild.
but it, like you said, I think men are simple, in my
You're
opinion.
the most simple creature on the planet. This is the dumbest thing about this whole feminist movement is that women are so stupid on this feminist thing because men are the most simplest, retarded creature on the planet. And as soon as you can figure out how to
Love a
man, give the man the most simplest shit we need to just walk in the home and be like, this is great. Wow. Smells amazing in here. The kitchen looks great. There's dinner on the table. We're going to give you everything that you want.
Yeah.
Like that should be the feminist movement is they get on all these radical creatures and sit down like, how do we control men? It would be so simple.
Yeah. And the thing is that they've never been loved by a man.
That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
They've never.
It goes back to the father wound and a mother who's probably emotionally undisciplined. A really bad combination. But see, you could have a father, but a father who doesn't know how to be a man. And that, I think, wreaks havoc. Because when you look at
see that a lot.
What the feminist movement has done, and I have a lot of compassion for men because I can't do my work without a man. Like, I have built a business, I have a great marriage, and I'm a great mom because really honestly because of my husband. I would not be outside of him. And
I'm sure he could say the same about you.
Well, but how is like you've got to taste how beautiful that is, and you're in a beautiful marriage, but those that are touting this stuff have never experienced what I think to be loved unconditionally, which is why they're hurting, and their hurt makes them scream even louder because their pain becomes their passion, and they're promoting it all over the world. And so what we need to right now is there's kind of an overcorrection. You've got this women's equality and equality, but it's not really equal because it really, by the time if it's really equal, why are less men are graduating college, more men, 90% of incarceration are men. Suicide rate for men is 3 to 4 times more. And this idea that, men are actually they call it the dad, they're in the basement because they're just at a deficit. And I talked about this earlier. So a man goes into the classroom with 80 to 9% of teachers are female. Okay. So now a little boy is not made for circle time. Our education system is really designed for girls to flourish. They need at least 4 recess. They need to get their testosterone out, right? Yeah. So now what happens, they get in trouble. You can't run in the halls. They're boys. Boys should be boys. And by the way, you say that, feminists, boys should be boys.
For sure.
We need to start saying that. We need to start not being afraid. I, as a woman who teach women how to be women, need to scream and say, we have to start giving boys permission to be boys. We need to be the biggest voices of celebrating masculinity. Because what's happened is that the biggest voices right now are those that are putting men down. Enough is enough. Men are tired of it. And it's the good men that actually gets left behind. Because yes, there's bad men out there just like there's bad women. But most men are actually good and easy. We've become a byproduct of our culture. And so these men who goes to school, knows, they're not given recess. Most women don't understand men. They've also been wounded. So now they're labeled. Right? Kind of, troubled kid. And then they get in trouble. They see themselves as troubled. Remember, their self-worth is revealed. I'm this troubled kid, right? And then by the way, 90% of ADHD Ritalin are prescribed to boys.
Really?
Yes. And so now we have boys who are just trying to be boys.
Locked in a classroom all day.
Yeah, locked in a classroom all day. And now they're labeled ADHD. And then they go to therapy, which has now been heavily women, who has guidelines on toxic masculinity. So now they're going to therapy, talking about their feelings. By the way, like, boys are different. Women like to talk about things, but boys are made differently. Sometimes over talking to them is like so confusing. Like boys.
We don't want to hear it. We want to hear
yes, like
you got us for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
back to being simple creatures.
Simple creatures, like 3 to 4 sentence. That's it. Like but women are not studying men. That's the problem. We don't know how to communicate to men. We don't know how to make a man feel loved. Like I always tell women, you really have to know your 5 of your husband's favorite food. And it doesn't matter how much you have going on. You better have food on the table, like you said. And it's warm and it's what he wants. That is that's your base. It's not, oh, look at this. Like a woman who can cook for her man makes a man want to stay. It's not really complicated.
Simple.
We've really, but you got the feminist, like, don't cook for him, like anything. And when I say women need to own their kitchen, I say that as somebody who's built a very successful business. I am a master in my kitchen. I tell women, we have a health crisis, obesity. We have a health industry who's manipulating people. And you're telling me that we shouldn't own our kitchen skills? A woman right now, college woman, I said, go to this pantry, make me something out of that pantry and make it taste good. And then, by the way, leave the kitchen spotless. Women don't know how to do it. I train my daughters. I said, I'm like, you clean this island spotless in 3 minutes, not 5. I need you to be masterful in washing the dishes. And just a quick story. So my children they run my house. Like I expect a high standard.
Well, you
when
got
I'm
a little
at work,
fire team of them, so yeah.
I do. They're great, and these are my kids. Like, Mom, I've got to work today. They'll have a schedule, because I have 4 littles and 4 older. So like, okay, 9 to 12, you're on, kid patrol. 3. I've not touched laundry in a year. Like,
Good, you should not.
It's not. And I do think laundry needs to be done. But I've got older daughters, but my daughters, who are just amazing. I said, you never make anything in the kitchen without leaving it spotless. Period. I said, that is your training that I give you, whatever you do in the world. And so they were, they're very good. Like, they run my house. Like, I expect to come home to a spotless house. That is my standard. Mm-hmm. If I work hard all day, I'm teaching you how to make this home spotless, because that's your training as a woman. Mm-hmm. That is my standard. I keep everything orderly. And so one time they come home, I come home and they know. I'm like, what are these dishes and what's going on in the kitchen? And so they're out with their friends. We live in sort of a biking town. I said, it doesn't matter where you are. You come home. You don't leave this house as a woman without first creating order in your own home. I said, wherever you come home, you're coming home right now. And I'll tell you, my children right now, I said, it doesn't matter where you are. You leave your home, you check your kitchen, and you order your home first. That is a training I have to expect my children, not because I don't think she's going to build a business someday or doctor, whatever, but that is your first priority.
See, a lot of people are going to hear this and be like, oh, that's not a kid's responsibility, or they shouldn't be worrying about that. But as this world evolves, and I'm sure every generation has said, like, the dating has gotten worse and worse, but me hearing buddies and them going through it, like, I want to put a high value woman, daughter, into the world so she has the greatest option of finding the most qualified man for her that makes her happy and checks all the boxes. He can be a plumber. He could be a Wall Street investor. I don't give a shit as long as she's happy. But I want longevity out of her marriage, and I feel those are the things that are gonna make her valuable. Mm-hmm. Not saying that she's gonna be the stay-at-home mom and that's her only role. If that's the path that she chooses, I 100% support. I would rather have her home and raising the children however she wants to do it. But if you're just this boss babe and you just order out and Uber Eats every night,
how do you have healthy children?
How do you have healthy children? How do you have a healthy relationship where your man values you, loves you, gives you the world? And how are you going to build this empire of a marriage?
Correct. Yeah.
Not being able to do the most basic things.
Yeah. But that's the thing. We try to change the world except our own interior world. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what's happening is that make your bed. Get up early in the morning. I said, women should get up early. It depends. Some are night owls or what. But make sure you're disciplined, because we can make 1,000 excuses why the kitchen isn't done. And I think that as women, we've become weak mothers because we have been emotionally weak. So we can't command strength in our children. I can't look at my children and say, you know what, let me give an example. Like, language is so important. Language shapes our perception.
Absolutely.
So the words that I say is either full of life or full of death. And that's just sort of the metric. So my daughter comes and she knows there's illegal words in my mouth. Mom, I'm so stressed. I'm so anxious, because that's what she hears. I said, we have this part in our brain called a reticular activating system that God designed. Whatever you focus on expands. So if I'm looking for a white, van, I start to see all the white vans. I've never seen them before, right? If I start to, see all the bad things about my husband, I'm going to find evidence for it, right? So language shapes our perception of the world. And so in my house, there's illegal words. There's things that I'm like, well, I either help you, create a beautiful life by the language used, or I actually contribute. So there's certain words. And so one thing she's like, I'm so anxious. I'm like, do you know how many, we use the word anxiety like it's like water if you go to college campus. And if you really think about anxiety as an epidemic right now, we have no idea how to manage our mind and our emotion. And so my daughter comes home and she starts to do, she's like, Mom, I got it. I'm late. I said, stop. If she starts to say, I'm anxious. And I said, stop. I said, you clearly should not be going out. If you haven't scheduled your time appropriately and you're anxious about it, you shouldn't be going out. Mm-hmm. I said, I am not raising a frantic child who's anxious about every little thing, who can't manage, frustration or stress. But here's, I was able to do that, Bam, because I do it for myself. But if a woman who's like, oh, it's so anxious, life is so hard, it's so stressed. I'm like, life is hard. Like,
life is stressful.
Yeah, but hard is good. Like, work gives us evidence that we have something valuable to give to the world. So like when I teach my children kitchen skills, they see that it makes a difference. Like my 4-year-old cuts cucumbers and he puts it in and he knows everyone eats it. He knows that his work matters. Guess what a lot of moms do? They do everything for their child. Oh my gosh, we are robbing our children of self-worth to make ourselves more valuable. We are raising our self-worth by doing it for them because it makes us feel good while robbing them of their value. When we do things for our children, we say to them, you're not capable. But hey, I want to raise confident children. Where does confidence come from? Competence.
By doing it.
Yes. Like a confident speaker, like if you're confident, whatever, field you're in, it's because you've trained for it. You've developed hundreds of skills, right? Where are we teaching our children to develop these skills?
We're not.
Correct. But we want confident children.
So we're raising
incompetent.
We want confident children, but we're raising incompetent children because we're doing everything for them.
Because it makes us feel good about ourselves.
And that's where I'm 100% where people forget that they're raising adults.
Yeah. You're accurate.
And then you have this 2, 3, 4-year-old little kid, and he's your first, second, or third, whatever it may be, and you're so used to doing everything before him. Before you know it, you got a 15, 16, 17-year-old almost grown adult that's still acting like a child that can't clean their room, gets pissed because they got to come down for dinner because you've created this. Correct. Because and that was like our biggest thing in this house was we're not raising children, we're raising adults.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to one day when they walk out this door be like, okay, they have everything that we were able to provide them in X amount of years. But you see these parents, and I watch it all the time. The kid's 7, 8 years old, and they got to cut his food for him.
Because parents don't know.
But it's something so basic
it's
like
basic.
that.
Yeah.
It's like when it's the silver spoon or the nipple in the mouth mentality. But now we've gotten so soft, and now everybody's so worried about feelings and emotions. Don't yell. Don't talk to them like that. Yeah. Hey, not in that tone. Instead, like their wives and mothers aren't allowing fathers to father.
Correct.
Because that's where I feel a huge role for, as the man of the house, is that iron fist. It's the rule. I'm not saying beat your kids, but if I say something needs to happen, there's no.
It's respect.
It's respect.
Kids don't have respect.
Zero. And it shows because they're raising these little children, and now your little child, little Timmy, is now 15 years old, and he's a piece of shit because you've allowed him to have zero respect for you, your husband, your house, your belongings, because you've had this, but he's this.
He's a boy. He's
just a boy. Oh, it's just this. Oh, she's just a teenager. You know how teenage girls are. No, I don't. I'm not dealing with that.
But it's such an excuse because we actually are the mothers are incompetent, and the mothers have a low self-worth. And I ache for the mothers. Like, I'm not putting mothers down. I go back to who showed you how. Like we talked about this earlier. Where does a woman get trained? Like skill. How to find the right man, be the right woman, how to be a mother, how to order her home. There's no training. I mean, how many skills do you think a woman needs to actually find the right person? Okay, so I'm going to break this down for you. Study a man, that's a skill. Have a routine so you can actually study. Learning how to decipher which is good and bad, that's a skill. Learning how to talk to a man. learning how to say no to a man, learning how to say no to herself when she wants to, learning how to communicate to a man. We talked about this. The basis of communication is 7% words, 38% tonality, and 55% body language. If she's going to find a good man, she needs to know 20 skills as a foundation.
The basics.
Basic.
Starting.
But there's no training. We make 25,000 decisions a day by average. Where do we go to learn decision-making skills, which basically becomes the foundation of our life? 2 decades of education, no decision-making skills. Indecision causes anxiety, and our lives are shaped by our decisions, and we don't teach decision-making skill with all the geometry and algebra that we teach. It's robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And no wonder these men don't know how to make decisions, and these women. And so what happens is that they're unfulfilled. Why? Because they have no skills. So they choose the wrong person. They were never the right person. Now they have to mother. Now it's chaotic. Their husbands don't like them, and it's midlife crisis. And it repeats over and over.
Oh, shit.
Midlife crisis is an unprocessed, unfulfilled life.
So that's funny you say that, because the wife, she's always... If you knew me, I am just wild chaos, right? My life. And she's always like, God, I hope I'm not looking forward to your midlife crisis. And I tell her, I feel like I've already lived 5 or 6 of them. But at this point in my life, I tell her, I'm like, if I go through a midlife crisis, like, I just want to go on a nice vacation, because I feel so fulfilled. Like I don't need any, like, at least in my early 40s, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't need a Corvette, and in my, I don't need to go buy a boat or find a younger chick. Like and we have this conversation. It's more of a joking. She always, because we've watched people go through them, and she's like, "Oh God, I'm dreading yours because I'm just so."
That's the expectation. I don't think you'll have it.
The most craziest shit, but I have this thing in me where I'm like, God, I don't want to change my life. Like, if anything, I want to spend more time here and travel more.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. But then I know some guys that are older than me, and they
want to escape their life.
And that makes so much sense, because nobody ever really explains, like, what causes a midlife crisis. Why did this couple that have been together 30, 40 years now all of a sudden are just 2 ships sailing in the night? This guy's buying whatever. The whole house is falling apart.
Yeah.
And it all roots back to that.
Well, because he doesn't have a purpose, because he never had the skill to fulfill his purpose. And so now all of a sudden he's trying to figure out his life because he's not fulfilled. And then he's trying to fill it up with everything external, because our purpose is not external, it's interior. Mm-hmm. But if you have no skills to actually fulfill your purpose, how could you? And let me just give you an example. Dreaming is a skill. Dreaming is not the same as goal setting. What are mothers told today? Give up your dream, because that's the only way you're going to be a good mother. I resist it all day long, and here's why. Do I look at my daughters and say, you're the reason I gave up on my dreams, but I want you to chase your dreams? That is never going to fly. She's not going to believe it. I have to be able to look at my daughter and say, I want you to watch me chase my dreams without compromising that you're my priority, so you can do the same thing, and watch the discipline and the struggle of what it takes to fulfill your dreams, by the way, that is in harmony with your divine purpose. Mm-hmm. If you're really studying dreaming, you understand that God speaks to us through actually the desires of our heart. What is it that we want to do, and how is it that we're going to contribute? The woman's school was a dream. God said to me, January, I want you to build a school for women. It was out of my own wound, and I pursued that dream. I didn't know how it was going to be. Like, I'm like, I have 4 children under 4. And so I just studied. And here's one thing. So dreaming is a skill set. Women are not studying. We have this idea that motherhood is so hard. We have weakened the woman so much that we cry over the dishes, the laundry, a dirty house, because they've never been trained how to do it. I said, why are we crying about the most basic foundational training that we should have really mastered a long time ago? Because a woman who's literally overwhelmed because she's underskilled cannot fulfill her divine purpose, and she's literally constipated with her purpose. And guess what? She's so susceptible to propaganda, feminism, because she's unfulfilled. This is why we have to train women with the most basic foundation skills. I'm like, really? We're crying over a toddler who's crying? I'm like, you're the mom. But see, they've never been trained to manage their emotion. How can they ever manage their home? I'm like, it's laundry. It's not a big deal. You do it in 5 minutes, not 2 days.
When you say it like that, it's for me, it's hard to argue. It's hard. I mean, it makes so much sense. Like you're crying over the most basic skills because
You're undertrained.
you're not. I mean, because you look. I mean, look back when our parents were in school. The boys had home ec.
Yeah, I had home ec.
You had
Woodwork.
woodworking. You had shop. You had welding. They had all this stuff, and now
They shut it down.
everything's shut down. And now you're sitting there learning how to binomials and fractions and all this other shit that nobody's ever going to use.
Yeah.
But we're not teaching the next generation
How to be human.
how to be how to be an adult.
I think we have a human crisis, in my opinion. We don't know some of the most basic foundation skills. And you know that because if you look at the youth, they don't know how to look other people in the eye. Your daughter just gave me the warmest welcome, looked at me, asked me a question with a warm smile. It sounds so basic, right? Your wife and you have clearly done a great job. But that basic is not common sense and not common practice.
Which is mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing.
It's so simple.
But here's what it is. Are the parents teaching it?
No.
I go back,
Are
literally,
just the same.
I get on my kids because I'm tough mom, tough in a way that they love. They know. And I by the way, I have an 18-year-old son. I said, do you want me to be less tough on you? And says, no, Mom, I don't want you to be less tough on me. You know, because I'm going a different direction. Our children are just a mirror of ourselves.
Yes.
And if a woman is undertrained and underskilled, how could she give life to her children? And a woman who has no basic foundational skills, can you truly love your husband the way he deserves to be loved? Because if you can't clean the kitchen, and if you're overwhelmed, and if you're stressed, and you're gossiping, and you're on social media all day long, what room does your spouse have? What am I thinking of? How can I love my man? How can I see greatness in my man? What are words I can use to empower him, to compliment him? We go into marriage without learning the skill of complimenting a man. Men are easy. We have to be trained on how to actually compliment a man. Like, it's so basic. Ask your woman today, how do you compliment a man? By the way, women don't even know how to be sincere. And you know that because there's a lot of comparison and competition. Sincerity is so attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it comes from a purity of heart, which is, I think, a mark of God.
Mm-hmm.
When you see fakeness, it's so repelling. A woman who's attractive is sincere. She's fierce. She's tender, but she's strong. She's no pushover.
That's a woman.
But you know what it is? It's a woman who when a woman presents herself as somebody who makes a man want to be a better man, that's what a man wants.
Mm-hmm.
That is our role. That is what Jordan Peterson talks about, Beauty and the Beast. The man tames the land. It's the woman that tames the beast.
Absolutely.
But how would a woman do that if she has no basic skills? If she doesn't understand her role as a nurturer of humanity, that she rejects the fact of making a meal for her spouse, or she doesn't know how. So now her home is chaotic. She wants to, she doesn't know how to. And then she's unfulfilled.
But she's got that boss babe sticker on the back of her car.
Correct. And now she's got this, what's this? We know there's a problem, and okay, we're going to go in this because I think this is important. We talked about why is it that some men who are successful, right? They're making, successful, and then they're married to this really beautiful woman. I was always fascinated with that. Like, beautiful woman who, from the outside, like, why would you want to cheat on her? But they cheat on her.
Mm-hmm.
They
You see it all the time.
You see it all the time. Like,
perfect families, beautiful Playboy model, mom, wife.
Why did you cheat on her?
Mm-hmm.
But why? And I said, because he is not receiving the nurturing that he wants and craves from her. Boss babe, I need you to get your own dinner. I got me. I'll figure this out. Meanwhile, the secretary who's nurturing him, hey, you've got your food? Can I get you water? Taking care of his needs, very basic.
They're the basics.
It's the basic. And you know what it is? She makes him feel like a man when the wife is emasculating his manhood.
Yeah, then he goes home. You know what I've been through?
Correct. Yes.
You know what your kids did today?
Yes.
You know what I've had to do for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he goes back to work. Here's everything laid out for you. Here's your
Yeah.
coffee, how you like it. It just goes to show how simple we are.
Yes. But women are undertrained,
Yeah.
women as nurturer of our home and of our culture need to learn how to anticipate a man's needs. We have to know what our man needs before he can communicate it.
Yes.
Like, Oh, how'd you know I needed water? How'd you know I was hungry? Exactly the way he wants it. Why wouldn't we? But we sell that as sort of this misogynist. I'm like, you've got it all wrong, lady.
The wife will open the door, get in here and eat.
Yeah.
Come eat.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not, oh, okay. Like, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I've been working out back all day.
Yeah.
Come eat. Hey, you need to drink water. It's just those little nurturing
Those
things.
little things that actually matter most.
And that's where I'm like, okay. And then I come in. It could just be a roast beef sandwich. It could be a hot dog. It doesn't matter. But the fact that she thought about me,
Correct. Yeah.
prepared it for me while she's juggling 2 homeschool
Correct.
kids,
Yeah.
a bakery,
Yep.
stupid ass dog that's getting out, whatever. Thinking of me.
Okay. But that's why, by the way, if you go back pre-industrial, industrial era, men and women were in their farm.
Mm-hmm.
Women were working and tilling,
Yes.
and they were working just as hard. But the women came home and made sure that there was a warm meal, and they had to do everything from scratch.
And on a wood stove, they'd
Yeah.
start a fire in
Yes.
their old
Yeah.
stove and have to get that going.
And get the kids and work. So
They'd
here,
have kids strapped to their front and back.
yes, and so was that. I wonder if they were saying, "Oh, this is such a hard life."
That was life.
Correct. But see, we have weakened the woman so much that we think dishes are hard. We think hard conversations are hard. We think, oh, whatever somebody else thinks of me is hard. I said, we have robbed women of true strength.
Yes.
And men want the strength of a woman that is rooted in her nature as a woman, not apart from it. A man doesn't want another man. And that's, it's so simple, but you see, that's why I have such, I would say, empathy for men, because I think the feminist movement have trickled down in every industry where women who are good women don't know how to celebrate men, don't know how to honor men, don't know how to have, I would say, conversations that make a man feel like a man. It's a skill, and
By listening.
yes.
Sometimes that's the most simplest. Have you seen that trend that's going around right now?
Which one?
Where
There's so many trends
the
going.
men, they'll have like their wife or daughters and whatever, and then they go, "This is the one thing that women can't do that men can do," and and the guy will stand back and doesn't say a word.
That's true.
And the women are like, "What are we doing? What am I supposed to do? Why are you just standing there?" And then the guys are just, and then these women,
Yeah.
it's just,
It's simple.
they just want. Sometimes you just gotta shut up and just listen.
Correct. That is true.
Or just don't say anything, and there's just silence. Yeah. But whatever your relationship is, but it's
simple.
It's the simplest.
Yeah.
What I love about everything that you're saying, how you're teaching these women, it's the basics.
It's basic.
You're not telling these women that they need to go and build an empire with your husband, and you need to be grinding 12 hours a day with him. When he's up, you're up. You need to be, there's none of this. That all can evolve into your relationship and whatever your dynamic is that you have under your roof. Cool. But everything that you're saying is so hilarious to me because it's the basics.
It's the basics.
And we are such a simple creature.
Yeah.
That's all we need. And then you evolve, then you add, then you find out, hey, this really made my husband very grateful that I did this. I'm going to add this more. Yeah. Oh, he really was receptive to this and was open as I came at him at this angle instead of this angle. Yeah. I got my point across way easier by having a real conversation with. It's the most basic things that you're sitting here preaching.
Yeah, it's simple.
So it's not that you need to go all of these extents and these high to the ends of the earth to try to be this amazing woman. It's just the basics.
It's really the small things. But
that's what we as men want.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we kind of yearn for.
I would say crave is what I would say.
Yeah. So
but
that's
you have no language for it. You know, you're not like, I actually just want I'm telling you, you're like, yeah, because
then that's what separates an incredible wife from a wife is when she knows when you're missing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just coming over and just holding your husband.
Yeah.
Will change the trajectory of his whole entire rest of his day.
I would say your marriage. You know, like we should be able to see our spouse and see the greatness in them.
Absolutely.
And as a woman, we should know when to push and when to just cradle him. Because he too is in pursuit of a purpose. And that purpose is going to take him into pain and suffering, which is part of life. But as a woman, I nurture that purpose of my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have a purpose and I don't have a dream and I'm just wasting my life, how could I encourage that in a man? How could I encourage that in Ryan? So it does require a woman, though basic, to own herself,
Mm-hmm.
to discipline. It goes back to a lot of discipline, you know? And so I tell women, I've built a multi-million-dollar business, but that's not what I feel like is my prize. You know, like that's not my badge of honor, because that fulfills, I know, my higher purpose to be able to build a school for women, but that would never mean anything unless I have created the right order in my life. And that's what I'm basically telling women. Go change the world. But first, go change your home. Make your home so beautiful and so inspiring that your children and your husband want to be home, and then go out to the world.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with anything that you just said. People will hear that and immediately take offense to it. They've been pulled into the propaganda.
Because they don't know what that feels like.
And it's to be able to watch my wife and daughters and the joy that they have in how we run our home, which is, hey, there's
standards.
standards. It's not, nobody's miserable. Nobody's complaining. I mean, they got their chores and
we complain every now and then, but I'm like, you whip in shape.
But that's it. And then and I encourage hey, I want to start this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because we have a happy home.
Correct.
Because we feel fulfilled.
You have greater capacity to give outside your home. That's what it is.
And it's crazy because now the whole boss babe movement, you're young, you're beautiful, learn how to control men, build a foundation, find a man that makes you happy, you make him happy, get established, and then go and start. You have a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm 100% one of these people that when I was younger, if you had been like, bro, you're going to have kids and they're going to be the joy of your life, I'd have been like, you are out of your mind. I get to live my life. I'm doing everything I want to do whenever I want to do it. I would give up everything to have what I have now, to have the quality children I have, and then the relationship with my wife right now. And that was starting all over and realizing, okay, we don't have the foundation built here. We need to really focus on us as a family, not the world, not social media, not trying to appeal to everybody else, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
All they care about is the negatives that's happening, so they can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
When you start focusing on us and as a family, it's change. It's the happiest, the most fulfilling part of my life is now, and the relationships that I have with my family. And there's no money that will ever.
You're a
make
rich man. Yeah.
I would trade it all for the world.
But what's fascinating to me is that you're like, who would ever thought I would do it? But it took a woman who invited you into something greater. You saw something greater in Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
That you could build a life that was bigger than sort of this life that you said, I'll give that up for her. And that's what high value woman is. A man is able to say, I am willing to give up. I am not losing that. That is my prize. And so women don't see themselves as sort of this prize, and when I say prize, not like pride, like, oh, go after me, but valuable.
Yeah.
God's highest form of creation, the masterpiece, It
truly is.
And sometimes, because obviously I do this work, women, their tongue could make a man or break a man by the language that we're using. How many women have no awareness that they come home and all they do is tell them how awful everything is? Complain, 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 complain. There's can you imagine sitting through that all day and every day as a man? We should be life bearers. We should be a place where our husband's like, I can go to her for counsel because she'll give me the truth, but it's full of life. Mm-hmm. But the complaints, oh my God, it's live. It's so unattractive. It really is so repelling, because at the end of the day, the most beautiful women of the world are those women that inspire other women. Inspire
Absolutely.
Comes from the root word to breathe life. Women need to know how to breathe life to man. But how is a woman capable of doing that if she has no life from within? But a woman cannot have life from within unless she's willing to train and grow. Just because we're born a woman, it doesn't mean we know how to be one. We are called to be nurturers of humanity, but are not born knowing the skills. Mozart became Mozart through training. Michael Jordan could be sitting in a potential of Michael Jordan unless he showed up to train every single day, even, by the way, when he wasn't having any success. Women need to show up for their own training. You would never send somebody, to war without boot camp and training. We are sending women to marriages, to motherhood without the most basic foundational training.
Which is terrifying.
Yes, that is terrifying. And why is it terrifying? Because we are sitting in the consequence of an untrained woman. We are seeing it in family life. We are seeing it in our politicians. We're seeing it in Hollywood. We have become so feminized as a culture. And when you emasculate men, women sort of become the boss, and we are wreaking havoc in our society. Women are called to raise the standard in everywhere they go. Women have no idea how to do that.
And that's what you're doing.
And that is what I believe is a solution to feminism. It's a solution to the crisis of masculinity. It's a solution of crisis, I think, in children. At the end of the day, we need to know how, and we need to train for it. Day in and day out. That's what Elena did for me. That is what we do in the women's school. We train hundreds and hundreds of skills that you can't get anywhere. I mean, 2 decades of education. You could, and here's the thing. It's also a very disintegrated model. What I mean by that. When you go, I want to build a business. So you learn how to build a business, right? And then I want to learn about money. And then I want to learn about, how to be a better wife. But they're not talking to each other.
Okay.
See, the thing is that as a woman, it's different from a man. If I'm teaching you how to build a business, if I'm teaching you how to, how to show up in a boardroom, I can't do that apart from also your role as a mother. We need to teach women how to be a woman apart from how men are men. We have diluted gender so much that our education system doesn't talk about the difference between male and female because, God forbid, that would be, we don't talk about the training that is necessary for women can never be the same for men. It just, we have this sort of personal development world that's almost genderless. And here's what I mean. Go for your dreams, become excellent. Excellence in femininity is different than excellence in masculinity. Why? Because what I probably have to train harder on is my emotional command, because my brain and the way God designed me with more, estrogen, I have to work harder to manage my emotion. But men might be, harder for them to maybe train their testosterones to make sure that they're disciplined in their body, right? Or their sexual orientation. It's just different. And we need to start talking to each other, honoring each other, and not diluting our differences. And I think that's where we are. Men need training and women need training. And I think what we have seen in the last 5 years is that there is a massive problem. But what's the solution? And I believe that the movement that needs to happen is that there's a women's movement in tandem with a men's movement and can never be apart from it. Otherwise, we will repeat history.
Oh, absolutely.
So men and women need to be in dialogue, learning how to communicate, learning how to honor each other's difference, equal but different. There needs to be a resurgence of reverence that is, reverence for women and reverence for men. There's no more reverence for fatherhood or motherhood. We have this Al Bundy. And by the way, today, DOJ, Congress, they're basically trying to change language from mother to birthing parent, chest feeders. They're changing.
That's so much more degrading as a chest feeder or...
Who's making these laws to me are hurt women who have no concept of motherhood.
White, liberal women.
Yes.
I'll say it. I'll say it. You don't have to.
Yes.
It's always the liberal white women that
who
are
has no
bitching
purpose
about everything.
Who has a lot of time, enough money to complain about it, who are unfulfilled and no purpose.
So you're saying the problem is these liberal men not being able to control their miserable ass liberal wife and letting them run amok and give them a voice because now they're just unfulfilled, miserable creatures.
Who's loud?
And they're the loudest are always heard.
Who's loud? It's the loudest who are always heard. But because the good women are busy trying to raise beautiful families.
You take a trad wife, she's out here picking eggs out of the, getting the chickens and got sourdough proof it. They're not bitching.
Yeah. It's really a sense of laziness. Not they don't
Sure.
know it,
For sure.
but it's
They don't want to work.
Yeah, because work gives us evidence that we are a valuable creature. It doesn't change our value, but it helps us actually feel like we're valuable, like we're contributing something valuable. And so you've got a lot of time on your hands. You've got enough money to not work. You have no sense of a purpose because like life is sort of easy. Greatness is not made in comfort. And we have a lot of comfortable women, comfortable enough, who are preaching all the wrong things, but not in pursuit of excellence. This is why I think the movement of masculinity and femininity has to be rooted in excellence and objective truth. I think it needs to be ordered towards God. But none of this like flimsy, like flimsy weakness, victimhood, like that is so dangerous, this mentality of victimhood, because it pins men and women against each other. And it gives women an excuse to be like, well, this is what I feel like, and I'm just emotional, and men are there. It's so vile. Mm-hmm. It's really, and it's so unattractive. Women have no idea that they're so unattractive to male and female. They're so unaware of it.
Well, then you take these young women, young teenager, 17 plus, I would say, that have this victim mentality or this mindset, and now they're trying to get into the dating world, and they're just word vomiting to these boys, these young men that are trying to figure things out. And then now these boys are getting chapters texted to them about some 17-year-old girl's feelings. Newsflash, teenage daughters. We're not care.
Reading it.
At 17 years old, we're going to read the first two lines and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Bet.
I wonder how many of those mothers actually wrote them the text.
Or ChatGPT'd it.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy because they say nobody's teaching these girls at this age because they're so emotional and they're trying to figure all this out. And now they're this powerhouse young woman that doesn't even know her own value or morals, trying to lecture somebody that she's interested in.
Yeah. It's very repelling.
You probably see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. And then they don't have the mother that's going to be like, hey, honey, no, sit down. Okay, if you have a problem, either you've only talked to this kid for 2 days. Have a nice life.
The mother's also the same, probably.
But exactly. So the mother, hell yeah, let him know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Don't let him know what you're thinking. He's 22 years old. The kid's trying to figure his life out and get on track, and you're letting him know how you feel after going on 2 dates?
Yeah.
Like, this is the problem that we're having. And now these guys are like, oh, dude, these women are crazy. Yeah. I have buddies with young sons that are, late teens, early 20s. I talk to them, and it's terrifying what these... And so I always put out like, because I'm a girl dad, so I'm always, boys. But then I have so many dads that are like, yo, these girls are just as batshit crazy as the boys are. And I'm like, 100%. Mm-hmm. So I forget that because I'm not raising a son to be a man that can court a woman properly, to be that high value man that he has the pick of the litter, not because he's some Rico Suave F boy, but because these women are like, that's what I want. But I'm trying to raise the female version of that where these guys are going to be like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows who she is. She brings all this to the table. She offers this,
a better
this.
Man.
She's going to make me a better person. But instead, nobody's teaching this. They're just, everyone's firing from the hips because everyone's so emotional and so triggered these days that they feel everybody has to know what you're thinking, which just sets the tempo for this relationship, and that's why none of them are working.
Yeah. Let's just kind of even start. So let's just say the parents of those children, what's their friendship like with their spouse? Okay, so because I think that's an important thing. We've lost the art of friendship.
My wife is my best friend.
Yes, and so is my husband.
I will scream that from the rooftop. I have no problem. Like, we just had this conversation where I have buddies, dude, you're never around. It's nothing personal. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't want to hang out with my boys. I'd rather be at home with my wife and kids.
Yeah. My husband says the same thing.
It's nothing personal. Yeah. Now we find time and let's go do some hunting, we'll go do some shooting, whatever. Let's go hit the cigar lounge. I'm cool. You got me for a couple hours if you're lucky. Nothing personal. My best friend's at home. I don't need to be anywhere else.
She makes you want to be home.
100%.
But that's my point. Friendship requires basic
work,
20 or 30 skills. No, foundational skills. Think about it. the friendship, conversation skills,
Okay.
knowing how to ask questions, knowing how to pivot, knowing how to listen. These are basic skills in friendship that young girls and young boys are not learning from their parents. And now they go out to the world and they want to be liked by a boy. They have no friendship skills. Girls need to learn how to study boys. Girls need to know how to have healthy, appropriate friendship with male. And what's appropriate? That's something, like learning to have a conversation where it's based on wholesome things.
Not sexualized immediately.
Nothing's not even like at all. Like it's not, there
Friends.
shouldn't be anything sexual about it unless you're deciding to be sort of, getting married, right?
100%.
Yeah. And so these boys and these girls are not learning friendship skills because it's not being modeled. And when you have a mom or a dad who's like, I want to go with my girls, and they see what the moms are doing, maybe getting drunk, maybe unfulfilled, maybe I want to buy this purse because this is what makes me feel important.
Posting pictures of you wasted at a pool in Vegas.
Yes. So their concept of friendship, remember the training in our brain is getting rewired of what a beautiful woman is. Oh, this is what a strong woman is. She can do whatever she wants, whenever she feels like. So now that's the woman. So this girl who's a victim of an untrained mother, who is also a victim of an untrained, mother, now goes out to the world, wants to be loved, wants what? The 5 A's, right? Doesn't know how to do it, has no skills, no friendship skills, at a deficit. Can you imagine what that woman is feeling? What? And then she gets a hold of the propaganda that makes her feel important.
Gives her a voice.
He gives her a voice,
Not
gives her a sense
the
of
correct
purpose.
voice.
Correct. It's a hollow voice. It's based on a voice from a very wounded woman.
Hate. It's a hateful voice.
Cycle, by the way. It's a cycle. And now she lives her life thinking men are all, and she stereotypes, all men are bad. I said, it's because that's what you choose to find. There are so many incredible men. Even the worst of men have something good in them if you have the eyes to see it.
I love when all men are bad. Well, if all men are bad, why are you attracting only the bad men? Where's the root of this where every man that you come in contact with is a bad guy?
Yeah.
I'm not out here being an asshole to every woman that comes in my path, so you can't put me in that category. But if the only men that you're dealing with, they're hateful, they just want one thing, that's because you're sexualizing yourself, you're putting yourself out in these situations, so that's what you're drawing yourself into.
Yeah. It's a vicious
I could
cycle.
be wrong.
No, it is.
I could be wrong. I'm a man. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
Yes, you do.
But when you're going to sit here and claim, it's like me saying all women are whores. Well, that's all I'm attracting.
Yeah.
All these women are so easy. Well, if that's what you're dealing with, yes. Same thing. All men are hateful. Well, if men are pieces of shit, they're just pigs. Why are you attracting only pigs?
Because they're choosing to see it, but I think because they actually probably feel that about themselves. I mean, that's really it.
Where's it rooted to?
Well, because it becomes kind of a neurosis, like this girl who keeps attracting the same guy because she's the same woman, and so she attracts who she is.
Yes.
And so we attract who we are, and so that's why I tell women, if you want a great man, you have to be a really great woman. You've got all these women that are like, I want this in a man, I want this in a man, I want this in a man, I want this. And I tell them, what do you put in the table? What do you offer on the table? And I had a priest this was such a great lesson to me. So one of the biggest thing that I sort of struggled with was I never saw a beautiful marriage. Except for one, my parents' best friend. I was like fascinated. I'm like, they like each other. Like it was just, and my parents were good people, but it was, kind of a different season. There was not a lot of affection and they struggled with their marriage, right? And so I remember the day I went to a youth conference and there was Terry and Dita. And Terry was a 6'5" man. And he was talking about some faith kind of formation and training. And all he could do was talk about his wife and how much he loved his wife, kind of like what you do, and how beautiful his wife was. And I remember as a 18, 19-year-old, I said, that's not real. A man is not capable of loving his spouse that much. Like, I didn't have a role model. I didn't understand what that looked like. And so I really was shocked that there's something that good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I went to her and I said, I befriended them. I was like, I will babysit your kids. They were missionaries. I said, I'll babysit your kid for free. I will pay my way through. I will be a missionary. I want to study you. And that's what I did.
Really?
2 years in a row, 2 summers in a row. I babysat their kids for free, became a missionary because I wanted their marriage. I was on a mission to unlearn the things I didn't learn. And so I go, and I remember talking to her, Vam, and I was like, Dita, like, as her name is Dita, Daphne, and I was like, how do you find a great man? Like, how do you get this amazing man who loves you? And she looks at me with this laugh of freedom. That's what only I can say. A laugh that you know she's loved and free. And she said, January, you've got to be that kind of woman. And I remember thinking, I have no idea
How to be that woman?
what that kind of woman is. And I remember thinking, I either make a decision that I will never have a man or a marriage like that, or I'm going to go on an interior quest to be that kind of woman. I did not date for 10 years straight.
Really?
Really. And
Learning yourself.
because I needed to learn who I was and love myself. I had that one guy that I dated in high school, and it wasn't until my husband. And, I remember people be like, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. And I just knew with every fiber of my being what I wanted. And I remember going to my priest, and I was like, oh, I want this kind of guy, and he said, I was probably 19, and he said, Junior, write down a list of everything you want in a man. And so I was like giddy. I was like, oh, great, this one I wanted in a man. And so I remember meeting with him, and I said, okay, Father, here's my list, He didn't look at it. He said, are you that woman that's capable of being with that man? And he said, what is love, January? Love is a gift. Be this woman, and then you can have that man. He never looked at it. What's my point? We ask so much from a man when we have nothing to offer.
You're so right with that, because you see these interviews on the streets, these guys down in like Miami, and they're, what are you looking for in a man? And all these women, I want 6 foot plus, 6 figures, tan skin, blah, blah, blah. They drives a nice car. And they're like, so what do you bring to the table? Yeah. I bring this. You're a dime a dozen.
Don't know. Yeah, that's what it is. And
you're a dime a dozen.
And this is what I tell women. I said, physical attraction can last 10, maybe 5 minutes. What I mean by that is that you have a conversation with a beautiful woman. She looks beautiful. You talk to her. Then she opens her mouth, and then you experience who she is. She either becomes more attractive or less attractive, or probably repelling, right? Mm-hmm. Women are unaware of this. A woman who knows her value, understands her role is to contribute in the conversation, will become more attractive to a man. But women need to understand that. Like, if I'm walking and be like, look at me, look what I have to offer. My role is, this is what I offer you. And I tell women all the time, because I train women in dating, I said, what is your role when you go on a date with a man? Like, what should be your mindset? No, they give me a whole, I need to be this, I need to make sure it's the right man for me. And I said, you have one purpose in that date. You are to bring value to that man. Because for whatever happens in that relationship, in that one moment, you have taken the gift of that moment to make a man feel like a man. Not go on a laundry list and who he is, who's is not. You just find a way to honor him, compliment him, believe in him, find out, ask questions. That is your role, to contribute value to that man. Guaranteed the man's going to want to be with you. That's not the point. The point is, you know your role.
We don't want to hear about all your exes.
No.
We don't want to hear about all your problems. The first date, the first couple months.
No.
Build the foundation of providing something
valuable.
And it's all it is. It's just be valuable.
Yeah.
And I feel, as a man, that's not what we're taught, though. You need to look for a valuable woman. That's something that should be taught as well, because if we're going to bring value to the table, a man, I'm not even saying I don't need it matched. My wife does not need to match what I bring, and I don't need to match what she brings. Yeah. It's just knowing that you have that, though, and that she's sitting and asking the questions instead of blah, 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 but for 2 hours. One of the worst dates, we actually talked about it. I think the girls asked me one time, they're like, what's the worst date you've ever been on? I went on a date with this chick. She didn't shut up the whole entire meal. I ate my whole entire meal. She had like 3 fries. She finally got up to go to the bathroom, and the waiter, God bless his soul, comes running up. He's like, yo, want me to box this up? I was like, give me the bill. And he already had it printed out. I paid and dipped. I left her there. It was that horrible. Because all she was talked about all the negative shit in her life. She trashed men. All her exes are pieces of shit. And she just went on and on and on and on and on.
She wants you to like him.
I was like, oh my God, like I can't get out of here fast enough.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that because it was like that initial, and I still think I'm like
painful.
Godspeed to that woman
Yeah.
because everybody that she dated after that, you had to have just gone into it as a physical thing and been like, oh, I'll deal with this. But
Just for, I mean, it's so, okay. So when I was single, the training that I received, besides studying men, was that I needed to learn how to ask the right questions for men. Bam, when I say I train, I have index cards. I needed to learn to ask the right questions for men. I would do it every single time. You go on it. I went on I had a 1 date rule. Like if maybe I was open, but I never dated. So I would go on a date to just kind of see, but I would prepare questions. I had to write them on an index card. Like when I say train, I mean know what to say and know how to say it. And so I remember I would and I was trained. So I would go in these conversations and I would learn to ask men question, but be sincere about it. Not like, oh, look what I'm going to get out of it. Like, find out something interesting about. And so I remember when I started dating Ryan, like, first of all, like I was so not interested in dating period. I was like, I'm going to just focus on I was in real estate. I met him my first day.
how did you guys meet?
So I worked for a congressman for 4 years and I loved it. I worked in Capitol Hill. I was in sort of politics, and that's when I realized you're not going to change culture through politics. And so my dad said, you should do real estate. I didn't really know what I wanted. That's part of a skill that I teach women, to know what you want. And so I went to real estate. And so I got my first day, see Ryan, who's, he's 6'4", always in the first of the row. He's always on time. Meanwhile, Filipino me, 5 minutes late. And so I'm in the back of the row and I see this guy in the front, and I was like, I am here to I'm here to focus on what I think I'm called to. So I was not interested. And so after the meeting, because you have like a sales meeting, I'm in the computer and I see this guy like hovering next to me, and I'm like this. I'm like, January, just focus. Like, I'm not here for a man, And I see this guy, so intentional, literally insert himself. Hi, my name is Ryan. And he asked me, he's like, you want to go out to lunch? And I knew sort of like, I was busy, I had my plans. I was like, I'd love to, but not today, And so, but he was so intentional. But my point is saying this, like, I met him, he was asking me all sorts of questions. I was almost shocked. I couldn't get a word in to ask a question. I was so good at asking questions for guys because like he was genuinely interested in my life, And so I was
Makes
like,
you feel good.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you're interested in my life. And I was sort of so overtrained in learning to ask men questions that I was shocked that this guy was sort of, asking me questions. And he was genuinely interested. And there was a lot of guys who sort of played games. Like, I'll call you in 2 days. And Ryan, when I met him, I remember, when I met him, he came to me, he said, I have some issues about feminism. And I was like, you're talking to the wrong girl. Like deep down inside, I was like, he was, and I said, and he's like, and he said, do you mind explaining things to me? And I said, okay, I'll explain things to you. I was kind of in denial. I didn't want to sort of think about it. So I remember I told my friend, I said, this guy, I'm going to explain to him about what femininity and feminism is. I'll see you at 8:00. And my friend
It'll be a quick date.
She's like, yeah, it's like quick. And obviously we were kind of working together. And I remember when he came, he's always early. He's just such, prompt. And he's like, he gives me a hug. I was like, okay, I guess you can give each other hugs. Like, it was like kind of in denial. But we go on this dinner date. He plans it and he's asking me questions. And I remember he looked at me and he said, I'm very interested in you. I would like to continue this conversation. I'd like to date you. It was so intentional. I was like, I had like this nervous laugh, which I like didn't really get nervous. I was like almost like shocked of his level of intentionality.
Yeah.
And there was no games, and so I remember he got up. I said, I got to get up early because I was an early riser. So I was like 10:30 and he drops me off and then he calls me. I still have a voicemail saved. And I said, I'm very fascinated in their conversation. I'd like to continue to see you. So intentional. No games. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, we need to stop the games. We need to see the good in each other. We need to learn to have friendship. We need to see goodness in each other. And that's, I think, the starting point. Is that male and female friendship that is ordered, by the way, it's different. Male and female friendship after you're married is very different, right?
Sure.
Is that young girls need to understand ordered friendship between male and female because that's how they sort of understand the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a training that comes from the dad and the mom teaching your daughter. That's the training I offer my children because they would not know how to do that on their own.
That's one of our biggest, mine at least. You could ask her. What's one of my criteria that you do when dating?
Start a
You're
Build
doing
everything-
all the right
build everything
things.
off of friendship, because then you get to know the person.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are just, it's straight into it, and then it steamrolls, and then before you know it, they're crossing lines, they're doing things at a younger age that there's no going back sexually,
No,
right?
yeah.
And having daughters, every time you have sex, there's a piece of you that stays with
It's
this
gone.
man.
You can never have it again.
There's no denying it.
Yeah.
So
Women deny it, by the way. Body count is like this thing. It's like, how many body count do you have? Does it matter? Why should it matter? I mean, it's unbelievable.
matters to dudes. Maybe not in this new generation, but this is something that you never bragged about, women wise, at least.
Yeah.
Now it's an open thing. But the biggest reason why I teach, and I just ask, build a friendship, because you truly get to know the person.
Yeah.
You see these couples and they don't even know each other.
Yeah.
How long did you date for? Oh, a month, and we're engaged. It's like,
Yeah. But where's the friendship in marriage? Like, that is I would say that's a crisis, because yes, you might be in marriage, but how fulfilled are you in marriage if you have no friendship?
if you're choosing to get away to go with your friends versus hanging out and
That
spending
says a
that
lot.
quality time, that says a lot to me. I don't judge people on it, but I'll let at the same time, like, okay, why?
Yeah. The fruits don't lie. You know, like,
but it's back to this whole thing is like, that to me is so important, because the wife and I, our first date, we sat and talked for, I'll go on record, it was the greatest first date I've ever had, because we just talked.
mm-hmm.
I'm still married. I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm not even looking for anything. I met her in traffic, running from the cops.
It's so funny.
Shit happened. Here I am on this date, right? But we just talked all night. We drove around, messed with drunk people. I dropped her off, gave her a hug. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the greatest first date. There was nothing, no agenda. I didn't even care. I didn't even really care. I was moving to this town. I was like, cool, she might be a hookup in the future. I'll go out, take her to dinner. This greatest first date blew me away, because we were so engaged in each other's conversation. And then it just obviously rolled from there. But like, when it comes to my daughter and the dating thing, it's like, just build a friendship.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. I feel as a father, it's not a lot to ask for, because there's this really weird dad relationship when daughters get to this dating age.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't be the father, she's not dating until she's 21, because they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
That's how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Nope,
Yeah.
too young, not going to happen. And I clearly saw the outcome of that. Doesn't work. If your kids they're going to find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. So instead, it's like, okay, let's base your dating. When you get into the dating world, these are my criterias. I want you to know your morals and your values, and as long as you stick to them, you can have all the fun you want. You can go and meet whoever you want, go hang out wherever, whenever. I don't care. As long as I know you know your morals and values. And when that boy comes along, build a friendship, because you're going to truly get to know if this kid is, oh, wow, dad, he has a great family. Mm-hmm. He's really close with his mom, works with his dad, whatever it may be. But you're learning these things, and you're, okay, there's a green flag. There's a red flag. Mm-hmm. So instead of you giving yourself up, be automatically tied into it, because these girls are seeking such validation so quick, and they get tied into these relationships. They're not happy. Then now it's just more of a social status that you have a boyfriend, and they're not happy. So it's like, hey, to me, it just makes sense. Just build a friendship, because if you could be friends with this person, you could spend time with this person. If you can't genuinely be friends with somebody you're interested in, why are we entertaining this? Yeah. Where is it going to go from here? You're going to get in a relationship with somebody that you're not friends with?
Yeah. But you've established also what you said was a moral compass.
That's the biggest.
That is actually the biggest. And this whole crisis of femininity and masculinity is that we have lost a moral compass. Why? Because we've taken God out of our schools.
100%.
We've taken God out of our churches. I'm sorry, but sometimes that is kind of what's happening.
Absolutely.
We've taken God out of every situation. It used to be that the Bible was in every hotels. We've taken God out of every industry and become so godless. And essentially what's happened is that your truth, my truth, is anybody's truth when there is no higher truth. You see, so what was happening to so many women today, it's like, feminist is my truth, what I want, and they have no sense of actually respect for authority. Mm-hmm. And so anybody that sort of encroaches on authority, it's like, oh, I don't want a man over me, because that relationship was not built on a healthy relationship of somebody greater than them. They've become their own God. We live in a godless culture. And so a culture without morals cannot survive. We see it in history.
Every time.
And so what we need to understand is that I think there's a revival that's happening in America. We're turning back to faith because we're seeing the consequence of it. I think feminism has been outed. We just need a solution, which I believe that's what I'm working towards. I think what we have right now is that we're seeing a byproduct of a culture that has been so godless, so immoral, so faithless, and we have to do something about it. Otherwise, we're not going to survive, which is what's happening, because the whole transgender movement is you could be a cat, you could be a dog, you could be a male and female. And, we have this thing called MAPS. I think it's people who identify as emotionally attracted to young people. There's a whole, it's a pedophilia. It's basically, there's a name for it, but it's a justified pedophilia. Thank you. Minor attracted something, right? Minor attracted people, MAPS or something like that.
Yeah, you come up to me, you're catching one in the face.
Yeah, like that's what we need men to stand up against this insane. And by the way, they had a whole TED talk on it. There's a whole, we need to be compassionate to these. See, these are the women that are saying we need to be compassionate to this man. I'm like, what is happening to this woman that they have no capacity to actually see the danger of a child? I mean, this to me is so indicative of a movement that's so based on emotion that you can justify pedophilia from literally the top down. This is insanity to me in a world where human trafficking is so prevalent, which, by the way, we had no idea was happening up until 2, 3, 4 years ago. Sort of conspiracy theory. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry
that our government is running.
Correct. I mean, yes, I agree. And pedophilia is now something we want to be able to say, hey, let's do this. So where does it end? Do you see what I mean? Like, okay, men can be women can be men. Okay, now bestiality and now pedophilia. Like, where does it end? That's what happens when there's no moral authority, God, that says this is right and this is wrong. Mm-hmm. We have taken him out of the equation. So now it's whatever we feel like. It's not a sustainable model for any culture. So I believe, people who are, I think, faithful and Christians, which, by the way, America was built on Judeo-Christian principles, we have to stand up with courage, speak the truth. And no, I'm not going to evangelize. I think we need to train women, a grassroots movement, to train men and women with the most basic foundational, I would say, character formation, because that's kind of essential what we're doing in the women's school. I'm just doing character formation that's really specific to women. We have got to wake up to this because we have been overrun. And by the way, most of America are good, like middle class, America. We're trying to do good, but you've got this sort of elite, Hollywood's taken over, and this is the right time because mainstream media is dying. This is media.
Yep.
We can now have monopoly on speaking the truth because they no longer have it. I mean, it's really happening. You have an opportunity to tell the world, Bam, what it's like to be a father that reveres his daughter, that is so busy trying to raise adult, beautiful women. And you get to share that to the world, because the most attractive thing that you and I have had a conversation is your reverence for your wife and your reverence for your daughter. I'm saying we need your voice in a world, just as you need my voice to say, I will defend men. And I will be the woman who's celebrating masculinity. And I'm not going to give women excuses for this lack of reverence for masculinity, because we can never be flourishing as a society unless it's both.
Yeah.
We will fail as a woman when we fail men. What I'm trying to say is both men and women have had a deficit in their training. Let's go back to the foundation. Let's retrain how to be a woman and how to be human, because eye contact seems to be rare these days for young children. And you probably know that, Chrissy, We need to go back to the most basic foundation. We need to understand the beauty of femininity and the beauty of masculinity. And I want to just say about this, because I think when we think of femininity, we think flowers, we think, we've got this I am woman, hear me roar movement, right? Strong women. But then we think femininity is sort of like docility and kind of like she's kind of in the corner, just following. I said, that's femininity based on performance. Just like masculinity is not a sense, a set of like performing. It's really God-given gift of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. What I want to train women is femininity that's based in interior strength.
Yeah. Let me interrupt.
Yes.
With the interior strength of femininity, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look back to like medieval times,
Yes.
and you looked at a queen,
Yeah.
a true queen, her people loved her.
Yes.
She ruled. Her husband was obviously ruled the kingdom, would cut heads off, send his military to fight wars and protect, while the queen ran the empire.
Yes.
But behind closed doors, she was making decisions.
Correct.
She was guiding a husband. That to me is the root of true
You
femininity.
got it. It's the Proverbs 31 woman.
And there's nothing in now you look at it and it's like, I'm not going to stand beside or behind you. I have to be in front of my husband because I'm a
Right.
boss babe.
Yeah. Yeah. We've lost
how
the
happy
art
are
of being
you?
a woman. Yeah. No. It's so convoluted. We don't even know what that looks like.
And if you go back, I wish there was somebody that can do this. It just sat and interviewed like our grandparents.
Yeah.
Even the old generation right
Yeah.
now that are still together, happily coupled. What was the greatest accomplishment, or what made them the happiest? Was it money? Was it your children, watching your children grow? And we said it earlier in this episode, and it sticks with me because I've asked, this is my $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of answered it when nobody's been able to answer it yet. I've gone to so many of these mentors, and I get invited to these motivational speak, and they talk, and then I hear these guys and they talk about the millions they've made, and I've done deals with Nike and Uber. I'm partners with and afterward I always try to ask these successful businessmen, how do you do all this and still have a happy family? And nobody's been able to give me an answer because they lose the root of it all.
Yeah.
And they sacrifice the time with their children,
Yeah.
the relationship with their wife, and they do it all because of this social status and wealth.
Yeah.
But you can take, my parents are the prime example of this. We grew up super poor. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. That was their decision. She wanted to make sure when we went to school, she was there. When we got home, she was there. She cooked, cleaned. I come from a very traditional home.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are the happiest people, even after losing a son, because of how strong their foundation is as friends and partners. Nothing will ever break them. And they are the very most simplest people. They've never had a pot to piss in as far as money in the bank. They've made it work all of these years, and their happiness roots from each other.
Yeah.
And then I know people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and their best friend's hooking up with his wife. They're running around town. They're all coked out of their mind. They're alcoholics. They'd have no relationship with their kids. But you got millions in the bank, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So remember we talked about our self-worth is based on power, possession. They too feel as though that's how they feel valuable in the world because they don't see their value. Their value is external. So yes, they're making the millions, but they don't know their value. So they have to prove their value. It's an exhausting life.
For sure.
When we don't know our value, we go to the extent. Why? Because we are made to be valuable. So we crave it. So yes, we're going to make the millions at the cost of other people's value, our children and our spouse, because that's what makes me valuable. So they're chasing the God because they've never felt worth. That's what makes them feel worthy. I've arrived. Look at me. Look what I've got. It's all external. So that's number one. It's the same thing with women, right? If I as a woman don't know that what my value is, I'm going to be a boss babe. That's actually a sign of insecurity. I want to make sure that I compete with you.
Love that.
I compete with you. I'm going to be better than you because I want to make sure that I'm valuable. Because part of the problem with feminism is it's they're trying to compete with men and try to be like men by actually eradicating their nature as women. It's so convoluted. So it's the same. The self-worth is so foundational. Like when I talk about the 5 A's, the same thing with men. Like he's making the millions because he's trying to be worthy. He's trying to know his value. So that's what happened. And both men and women are doing it, right? At the cost of an incredible marriage. Let's go to your, parents. There's a beautiful quote that I just love from Dostoevsky, and it says, "Beauty can save the world."
100%.
Your parents' marriage is so beautiful that when the way you talk about it, it changes me. Dita and Terry's marriage was so beautiful. It set me off in a different trajectory in my life. A beautiful marriage, a beautiful conversation, a beautiful encounter, a beautiful woman can change the world.
Mm-hmm.
But see, we don't understand beauty.
Or the power it brings.
And the power it brings.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty is a mark of God. It's actually one of the evidence of God's glory. And if you see it because you look at the flowers, the trees, like there's got to be some divine intelligence that's able to create this sunset and this flower. It's so beautiful, you know. And even the way you talk about your wife, that's beautiful. But we have made beauty so external, so physical, that it doesn't actually reveal the whole woman or the whole man. It's sort of, because why? Because that's what the world tells us. It's what makes us worthy, the physical beauty. And partly because women are unaware of it. Can you imagine the capacity of a beautiful woman? That's what your wife did to you. You said, I'm going to give up all of this because you and my encounter with you in our conversation in our first date and continually too has inspired me to want something greater. I am leaving something that's not worth it. A woman needs to understand that that is her role, is to elevate and is to inspire. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Can you imagine what a beautiful woman is capable of? And this is why beauty is so abused. You see what I mean? Like pornography, you know, kind of like, you know, Hollywood, they use a physically beautiful woman to lure people into unfulfillment because it's so powerful. But it's hollow.
Mm-hmm. Lonely.
It's hollow, it's empty. And you know that because you're living the experience of a beautiful, even like my encounter with your wife, there's a humility, there's a competence, there's a confidence. I mean, she's coming in and she's making dough. And I'm like, that is beauty. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's not what we as a culture celebrate, and we need to start celebrating it. The same thing with motherhood. Can you imagine the most beautiful thing in the world is to bring life to this world?
No doubt.
You know, and we see it as a second-class citizen. Put it away. You know, half of, you know, young adults right now don't want to have children because it's so hard. Yes, there's hard, but we don't talk about the beauty and the reward of motherhood.
Incredible.
It's just sad to me. It's so sad to me because at the end of the day, they're not fulfilling the very nature. Not all women are called to have a baby, but most are. And so they're actually suppressing the very thing they were created for. How could you truly be happy? And it's the same thing with fatherhood. You know, my children give me the greatest joy. Like, my marriage give me the greatest joy. Like, all the things, like, like you said, it doesn't matter. But I have learned that my value is not based on that. So I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I feel like I'm the richest woman, whether I have no money or... Because I come home to a happy home. I come home to a man who wants to be with me, who texts me 10, 20 times a day, you know, and vice versa, by the way, a man who I admire and who admires me. This is what I think the feminist movement has so, to me, robbed the world because we were created for beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And beauty can change the world. And feminism robbed women of her beauty.
100%. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying.
There's just so much. At the end of the day, where do we go from here? Right?
So speaking of where do we go, so where's the root? Is it fathers? Is it mothers? Because there's a lot of broken homes.
Sure.
A lot of broken homes these days.
Yeah.
I feel more of a rarity to be
a
couple still together. For all the dads that are listening, where do we start?
Training. It's the root cause. I mean, fatherhood, but how do you become a good father? How do you become a great man? How do you become a great friend? How do you become a great husband, wife? Training. And by the way, training for life. That's not one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've lost the foundation of the most basic skill set.
Absolutely.
So we go back to the difference. I believe we have this education system that I think is robbing both male and female. 100%. What I believe is formation. What I mean by formation, it's the chiseling, it's the character formation, it's training that we're not actually getting. So I think the root cause is the untrained person, is the untrained man and woman. And so the basic is we need to start training men to be men, boys to be boys, girls to be girls, and women to be women. We need training for mothers, we need training for fathers, we need training for dating. They just need to learn how. That to me is so clear because I've seen the byproduct of a woman who's once trained, overwhelmed, couldn't admire her spouse. When you give her 100 skills, and that seems like a lot, but that is what we need, by the way, to flourish. You have a lot of it. Your daughter has a lot of it. We just don't have labels for it right now because we don't have an education system that supports it. You see the difference of, because an overwhelmed woman is often underskilled, which then cannot fulfill her purpose, which then is what I think causes so much of the brokenness. So it's really simple to me. It's training. I know I make it, it sounds so simplistic.
But yeah, but we train for everything else in life.
Yes, we train. Doctors train, athletes train, Olympians train, militaries train.
But then all of a sudden now I'm an adult and I'm in this relationship and we want to get married, but nobody has sat me down and taught me how to be a man
or a woman.
And I say that because I know a lot of guys and they got a lot of sons. Thank God the majority of my close circle of friends, all daughters, which is hilarious. Hilarious. I don't know if I have like 2 buddies have sons, all the rest 100% girls. But I'm watching the boys in her age group. There's some great kids. She's got some really good friends. They're awesome, awesome young men. But just watching their interaction and who these boys are, I'm like, is your dad?
They need training. Good boys.
They're great. They're good kids,
Yeah.
but their maturity level at this age,
Yeah.
the interaction, because it's Snapchat now.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
These kids will literally be up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning Snapchatting, no problem with their little snap streaks. But then they go to In-N-Out and they sit next to each other and they're all awkward because she says it. She's like,
basic training.
She has friends that they'll talk to boys for a week straight, nonstop on their phone. Then they all meet up at the little hangout spot and they won't even and she's like, it's so weird. She's like, it's mind-boggling to me that they have this full relationship online, but then in person they can't even have they can't even sit across from each other.
It's foreign language, sir, because of you have obviously built a very, great communication. But I'm going to take it one step. They talk online. They come together. They don't know how to talk to each other. And then they get physical. So now it's an emotional, sexual connection.
Which lasts how long?
Without friendship and conversation skills. I mean, repeat. Once again, goes back to how are we training these boys?
We're not. These dads now, and I think now that even the majority of the dads that are training their sons, they're training them to almost be like these F boys because, oh, it's my boy. Yeah. It's my boy. He can pull anything he wants.
You can do whatever you want.
You do whatever. The world's yours. Yeah. And I know guys that are teaching their daughters this. Yeah. Oh, I have beautiful daughters.
Yes.
I would never tell my daughter, oh, you can go have any dude you want. Those words, it just disgusts me even saying that with her sitting in this room.
Yeah.
But I know dads that are telling, oh, hey, you could have any of the athletes. That's the moral compass that you're laying the foundation for your daughter.
Right. There's no moral compass. That's number 1. Number 2, the dad's worth is based on what? Maybe his daughter getting some athlete or whatever. Do you see?
That's your goal?
Yeah.
That's your goal as a dad. Oh, you could have. Why are you dating this guy? You could have the quarterback. Yeah. That's the goal that you're instilling in your daughter, that you can have the pick of the litter of your school.
Because that's what he thinks makes his daughter valuable. Do you go back to self-worth? It's based on power, possession, how much money you make. So much goes down to your own self-worth. That's the foundational training of masculinity and femininity, is where did you understand your self-worth? Where are you putting yourself worth? Because I'm going to tell you that dad who says that probably thinks his value is money. Money, fame, what his body looks like.
You got
all
the jewelry,
yeah,
you got the
yeah,
fresh
yeah,
fade, you
yeah,
got the
yeah,
nice $30,000 watch, you
yeah.
got a cool, badass brand
Yeah.
new truck, and you're telling your kid you can have whoever you want in school.
So basically, a dad who doesn't understand his value, who places his value on materialism, is now training his daughter, right? To then say, hey, your value is who you marry, who you know, how much money he has, and what your body looks like. This is why you have fathers who are like, yeah, go for OnlyFans. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. But when the father doesn't know their value, and their value is based on external possession, power, position, they cannot give anything else to their daughters.
Or sons.
Correct. And mothers, by the way. This is why when a mother doesn't know her value, she's going, put on those skinny jeans, go on a diet. Because that's what we think is valuable. Right? That's what I mean. It's both.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
But if we where's the training start? I think if we're going to capture the next generation, we need mothers and fathers training and have enough humility to say, if I'm honest, I'm unhappy. And if I'm honest, I need help. And if I'm honest, I really need training. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it because of my children.
Okay, so let's talk training then. I mean, we've talked it this whole episode, but okay, so you said early on you really don't focus on the men's side. You're focusing on women's training. This is a school for women.
Correct.
First, who's your main demographic, I guess, age-wise?
Yeah. You know, it's so fascinating to me, and we ask this question all the time on our team because we have students that are 13 or thousands of students all the way up to their 80. And
okay.
It's really, and I think because we cover the whole woman and we cover every season of the woman. So, but a lot of our demographics are mothers.
Okay.
Young
children, old children.
Both.
Okay.
And the young children, the mothers are young children, they're saying, I got to get this right. I see the hundreds of skills that nobody ever showed me how. I don't know my value. But the older mothers are like, oh, I better figure this out because my children are growing up. And now I have to backtrack. I need to figure out something.
Okay.
And then you've got sort of the empty nesters who are like, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Oh, I never.
And my marriage has fallen apart.
Oh.
I need to learn how to be a woman.
Okay.
There's actually a lot.
So instead of a mother anymore, now they have to learn how to be a wife/woman again, but a different identity now.
Yes, but can I just say something, because I think we've talked a lot about sort of kind of, you know, feminist. There's also sort of the radical extreme that our value is placed on motherhood. It's the same. Like, I know that I'm valuable, but my value is also not based on how I mother.
For sure.
So we have to be perfect mothers. Mothers today, you've got this opposite extreme. We lose ourselves because we're taking care of our children, because that's also what makes us feel valuable.
But is that doing harm to the mother? Is there a balance?
So if the mother is giving life because she has life, no, it's healthy.
Okay.
But if a mother is placing her worth and she has no life, she has no skill, she's overwhelmed, and she's basically using motherhood to make her feel good about herself, that's harmful.
Which could be the trad.
Correct.
The trad wife.
That's the trap, I think, of false femininity, which is why I think it has to be rooted in excellence and continuous formation training, because then it becomes also a mask of not finding a purpose, of sort of this, like, I'm just going to be behind the scene, because sometimes that's easier.
It's
it becomes a comfort zone. Yes. Okay. And so that's why I think both extremes, you know, for a long time I was like, I didn't really want to be like, you know, like I train women how to be a woman. I didn't want to touch with this idea of femininity because part of it is the way it's misunderstood.
Okay.
You know, and I've sort of gone past it because I think true femininity is actually interior strength and rooted in excellence. But there's the danger that our self-worth is now rooted in motherhood. It's the same thing. My children, look at my children, look at how good my children are. You know, we make motherhood sort of like this sort of badge of honor because we don't know ourselves. We lose ourselves in being a mother because we never knew ourselves. And this is why I say every mother needs to know what they want and don't want in every part of their life. They need to have a dream. They need to know who they are apart from being a mother. They need to understand what God wants from them. It includes motherhood because that's a big part of us, but it's not exclusive to motherhood. Some women, like for me, I'm called to build a school for women and also to be a mom.
But you can still learn the skills of being a woman for marriage. Doesn't mean you have to have kids and you don't need to go that path, but you still,
Absolutely.
there's still so many skills, even if you just want a life partner.
I mean, friendship skills, I can name 30 under you right off the bat.
So this isn't just for, hey,
No.
moms, we're going to
No.
teach you how to be a mom, how to love yourself and raise your children. This is for, hey,
Yeah.
you may have grown up without a mom, without a dad. You could have gone in foster homes. You could have had the perfect family on paper
Yeah.
that didn't spend that quality time.
Correct.
But even if you're just a young woman trying to figure life out, this is where this program comes into play.
Yeah, it really is. I think to me, if you feel like you're unfulfilled and parts of you is not fulfilled, then there needs to be training. Because whatever it is that will make you fulfilled requires some new skill set.
Absolutely.
Right? So whether it's your marriage, whether it's your health, you're not happy about your body, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your friendship, whether it's your home's chaotic, whether you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, all that requires skill training. But if it was me, I wish I could start at the college level. Because
Age or
yes, I mean, we are actually going, and this is part of our work, is I'm going to Clemson University at the end of the month. We want to be able to create a movement on a college campus to train women's skill set.
That's incredible.
Because that's how you change movements. And I'm basically saying, unless we hook the college, they're now going to make bad decisions and it becomes a repeat cycle. That would have been me had I not had Elena. So if it was me, I want to get them sooner. I want to be able to say, I want to teach them, young. Like we have a training that we're basically at the end of the month, we'll be there from 9-year-old to 14-year-old. And then we have 15-year-old, 21-year-old college, high school. We want to give them skill training now.
For sure.
We want to, if we can avoid collateral damage of them picking the wrong person, being an overwhelmed mom, not knowing what they're created for, not knowing their value, we could save generations.
Where the propaganda
Correct.
gets set in.
Because if that woman is so, I would say, incompetent, unfulfilled, doesn't have self-worth, she will always be susceptible to propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
We need to save her.
And I know we've talked a lot on the feminist side and we barely touched the trad wife, but you're not, because I know people are going to be like,
Yeah, no, I'm
I'm not here just to be a breeder and I don't want to just be kids. Great.
Yeah.
Whatever your calling is, you're here just to help women become the best version of themselves.
Whole version.
A whole
Yeah.
self-loving, knowing their morals and values woman,
Correct.
which is a missing skill and a trait these days because now we have the boss babe, we have the trad wife, which those are the both extremes.
Yeah, I think the extreme virtue's in the middle, and that's essentially what we're teaching, right? Aristotle talks about that. And I say this because, I get kind of flack, right? In a sense that I'm like, well, I'm teaching you foundational skills, but I'm also building a massive business.
Mm-hmm.
And what
with
I'm
8 children at home.
With 8 children at home, in a peaceful home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying, oh, look at my life. No, I'm saying I get up at 4:30 and 5 in the morning to study every single day with 8 children, even when I'm pregnant. Like, I'm not giving myself excuses. And no, my home isn't perfect. You can ask my kids. I'm like,
no one's is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not excusing myself. All I'm saying is that the invitation is that every woman should train just like athletes train. That's essentially what I'm inviting, is that we've all had a deficit. We've all been loved imperfectly. Like, no one is perfect, right? So what we should do is to have enough humility to say, wherever I am, I need to have enough humility to say, I need training. And I say, that's why I don't like, feminist or trad wife. I'm like, at the end of the day, what is it that we're after? I want women to fulfill their God-given purpose. And sometimes it means staying at home. Sometimes it's staying at home while you're working part-time. Maybe it's different for every woman.
Maybe it's going to the corporate world.
Yes.
Maybe it's running a Fortune 500 company.
Yes.
If my daughters go that path, I
Yes.
100% support it.
But knowing her value
Yes.
and knowing her purpose. That to me is more important, because if she goes to the corporate world or she's a stay-at-home mom and she doesn't know how to walk in every single room to bring value, she's going to rob people of value, whether it's the boardroom or her bedroom or the kitchen. This is why I tell women, how many rooms do you walk in your lifetime? And what is your purpose in every single room you walk into? Women today have no sense of intentionality, lack of awareness. It's not their fault. There's no training. But women need to understand, this is the room I'm walking into. I need to know who I'm becoming. I need to have intention. I need to be very clear in the value I'm bringing. But a woman is capable of doing that if she knows her value and she's studying daily to bring value. Training, right? So I'm not saying this or this. I'm saying that you train and then you're going to figure out your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, but
you have the skills to go.
Wherever you are, whether you're a friend, a wife, CEO, not you. the foundational skills, that's what's missing. But I will say that we cannot live a disordered life and expect to be Fortune 500 CEO. I'm just going to say
exhausting.
this. Okay, this is not my favorite thing. I don't like to zero on people, but I'm going to say it, okay? Hillary Clinton, right? She went to become president, right? She had a traumatic experience. We just learned that recently. I don't know her sort of personal life. But what I want to highlight is that how do we become president of America and make decisions if our marriage isn't actually valuable?
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is I don't know the extent of, their marriage, right? Bill Clinton and Hillary, but it seems as though that her sort of feminist ways has impacted his masculinity. I don't know to the extent, but you want that running the country?
No.
I mean, think about it. She would not have the awareness of the importance of masculinity and femininity, which is, by the way, the foundation of how we understand ourselves as humans. Like, first you understand you're human, but then you have to understand yourself as a man and woman. So if you've got a leader, a politician, who's changing laws, changing culture,
running a country,
or running, organizations, but they have no basic understanding on masculinity or femininity, you are going to rob society because you're going to treat the world genderless. And you're going to rob them of the very reason why they are put on earth. Because I will guarantee, and I will tell you, and data will probably support it, that my purpose as a woman will never be apart from my sexuality, and so will yours. I can't be like, I'm a CEO, and it doesn't matter if I'm a man or woman. I would be a CEO as a woman. And we need to start talking that way. We need to say, I am, a CEO or a trainer or whatever it is, but as a man. We've made it so genderless that we're almost afraid to say, I'm a teacher, but I'm a male teacher. And that flows. And that is part of how I'm going to teach, not apart from it. But what the feminists did was, especially with this gender theory, is that gender doesn't matter. It's a performance. It's never a part of your biology.
This is hilarious.
But do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But how can that woman, and that's why I just want to point that out, how could she run a culture when she doesn't understand how to be a woman who actually has reverence for men?
No.
But that's what I mean. The disorder, that's a macro level, but disorder is the same. How could you be a boss babe, right? And I'm not saying all boss babe doesn't have their home in order. I'm just saying, be the,
That's a true boss babe, though. I consider my wife, if anybody's going to wear the title of boss babe, my wife has earned that title.
But she won't even see that.
I would never call her, but it's because it's so it's the mission behind it or the statement behind it is such a joke to me, because you talk to these boss babes, they're all broken, single moms. Like, you got 4 baby daddies. Yeah, you're a boss babe. Please tell me more about how your life is shit.
That's what I mean. But it's hollow,
For sure.
Your wife is really living her true nature as a woman. She's command of her home. She sees reverence in you. She takes care of you. She takes care of you. She has ordered priorities. She's not really intimidated, and she knows her value. She say what it is. But like, we don't talk about that kind of woman in our culture because the loud, always sort of, the squeaky wheel, right? But that's the woman. And in our class, we have a masterclass. It's a one masterclass that thousands of women are taking, and I've named it the New Woman. At first, it was called The Art of Being a Woman, which I still really believe. But we've called it the New Woman. And here's why I think this is important. I think that 150 years ago, women had no freedom, right? It was very limited, and we fought for equality. Fast forward right now, women have unlimited freedom. So now you've got this true radical extreme of women who don't understand their value and their sexuality. What I believe, where we are right now in history, is that there has to be a new woman that emerges from two radical extremes, that is rooted in interior freedom, excellence. And I think that's the new woman. It's your wife. It's the woman that's training herself. It's the woman that actually knows her value. She's the new woman that's going to elevate masculinity. That's the new woman.
Because it's the perfect pair. It's the perfect partnership. If you have a woman that knows her morals, values, and she knows how to upbring and lift her husband to his capabilities of being the most masculine male in her life, that's the perfect combo.
Yes.
You could conquer the world with it. It's happened.
You could change the world. Beauty can save the world. But a woman who doesn't understand her sexuality as a woman can never bring out the sexuality of man.
No.
She's just not capable. You can never give what you don't have. Why do we start young? We start with our daughters because they need to understand their femininity as an interior strength. And then I think men will rise. So no, we can't have our daughters compromise. But at the same time, we have to do our part to train men so that there's more men for our daughters. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, we have to train ourselves.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the invitation that I have. I think it's the only solution. You said, so where do we go? I said, training. Fathers, mothers, sisters, friend, everybody needs training. If, you know.
Such a scary world too. I mean, and then when you say it, it sounds so simple. Like, oh, we just need training.
Takes a lot of humility.
For sure. But but what I'm saying is, it's like, who's trained? If you do not have involved parents, which takes a lot of work. You know how it is. You have 8 kids. We have 2 and we're wore out. I couldn't even imagine putting that much energy that we put in our kids into 8. That's mind blowing.
Can I say something? Actually, motherhood with 8 children is the easiest thing that I get to do.
Yeah, I love that.
No, and people are like, why? I said, because somebody prepared me with the skills that made my motherhood seamless. So when they say motherhood is hard, motherhood is the end, I'm like, it's simply because you're undertrained. I'm like, motherhood, piece of cake. Building a business, you know,
nightmare.
Well, because I also didn't have training.
Those are the sleepless nights.
That's literally, it's the truth.
Trying to figure out how to keep your company afloat. Yeah,
that's,
for sure.
You know, so I say that. I say it and it shocks people. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's an important because we have made motherhood as a roadblock to fulfillment.
I hear these, you know, these. It's not as much now, but during obviously the Biden administration, all that, you'd hear these women like, we're not just wives. We want to be more than a wife. So the happiest women I've ever met in my life were the most incredible wives and mothers. Yeah. And
you don't need to tout, you know, like, you know, well, true wealthy people doesn't say, look at my money.
For sure.
But true happy women don't need to be like, hey, look what it's like, there's no need.
And it's sad to think about because, and I'm not saying it's for everybody. Everybody's got their own path. I'll never throw shade on having children, being married, whatever. It's to each their own. But when you really, truly just look and watch and see the true relationships that are working and doing it the correct way, it's why would you not want that? Yeah. But in this culture now, it's, oh, we're equal and you could do everything he can do and we could do it better. It's like, why? Why would you want to? You're a woman.
Yeah.
Why does a woman want to be equal to me as a man? Yeah. I can't.
Or the same as you.
Or the same. Yeah. We'll never be the same.
Yeah. It's delusional, actually.
We will, 100% delusional that a woman will ever be equal to me on any level. And I don't say that as a male chauvinistic, I'm better. I will never be on your level, especially a mother's level. Yeah. What a male and a female bring to the world and to the table of a relationship are the most incredible things as a partnership.
Yeah.
There's never an equal. Whenever I hear this,
that's what they're forcing is that it has to be the same because
it doesn't.
That's Marxist, by the way. It's a socialist agenda. Everyone's the same. Everyone's the same. And what it is, it's very dehumanizing.
100%, because we are built. Our genetics are not the same, and we're built that way for a reason. Women are loving, they're compassionate, they're caring. You know, I get sick kids when they were little. I'd be like, no, I don't want to deal with that. It wasn't in my nature. Right. I have no problem going to war. I have no problem building crops, providing whatever I have to do as the man's role. Yeah. That's my role. Yeah. I'm not expecting my wife to be out there doing it with me. She's the nurturer. She cares, loving, she's providing, building a home, not a house. She's building a home for us while I'm off doing what I have to do. And that is the coolest, most beautiful thing that separates us. But now we're equal. We're not.
Now we're fighting. Not even like we're
now we're fighting over who's better.
It's so prideful. That's what I mean.
And it all comes down to pride. And instead of just accepting like, hey, I'm a man. These are my roles. I bring the strength. I bring the courage. I have no problem stepping in front of a bullet for my family and my children. Yeah. You bring the nurturing, the loving, caring side of things. Why can't we bring this together and have an incredible relationship? And the perfect example, I don't know if you saw the video where they sat all these moms down. They're like, would you take a bullet? Would you kill for your children?
Oh, and then he says you eat healthy. Is that the one?
No. It was, they asked all these moms, and there's moms sitting there bouncing their
Okay.
kids. They're like, would you kill for your children? And these moms,
I didn't see.
that right there, women will never be equal to men, because if you ask any father, and if his answer isn't 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
And that's based on your testosterone, by the way, because your testosterone makes you more aggressive. They did a study in this, which is fascinating. Moms and dads, new baby, baby cries, dad sleeps right through it.
Yeah.
Okay, mom, every cry, she wakes up. Her brain is made for it.
Yes.
There's a capacity.
We're wired differently.
Correct. And then there's some leaves hustling in the outside of the house. Mom sleeps right through it.
Right up.
Dad wakes up.
Yes.
We have got to start seeing the difference between male and female. And this is what's happening, is that everything has to be equal. Everything has to be the same. Instead of saying, well, God made every single man and person different, like we have the stereotypes, but then male and female, really beautiful kind of integration together.
Yes.
And to me, when you say like, why do they not want that? Because they've never seen it. They've never lived it. Like if you've had a great cake or cookie, you wouldn't go for sort of cheap. If you had a great burger, you wouldn't go for the McDonald's burger, right?
Yep.
If you've seen what a beautiful encounter of a man and woman, if you've seen a beautiful marriage, you wouldn't settle for anything less. The women that are preaching it, screaming about it, it's because they've never experienced something so beautiful. That's why I think beauty can change the world. What Terry and Dita did for me was invited me to do something to change myself so I can have that. And that's what I mean. They're so loud because they've never seen what it could look like. But the problem is that pride
And hate.
They're so wounded and so pride, and there's sort of this sort of collective kind of like cult-like, right? Because then you go out of that tribe and you start saying like, actually, we should start honoring men. They just get attacked, right? You see people who don't go against sort of Hollywood narrative, they don't get hired. It's just sort of this very cultish kind of way of life, and that's why I think it takes a lot of courage, and that's why when I say I want to reach women in their heart, because like intellectually they're going to be like, well, men are underpaid, and you know what, think about the hardest jobs right now and imagine if men didn't do it. Like 99% of bricklayers are men.
Bridge builders, skyscrapers.
Yes.
Men built this country with toxic masculinity. Who's paving roads? Yes. Oh, guess what? When you drive by that construction sign, where are the women holding the stop and yield sign? Yeah. They're not in the ditches shoveling. Now, there's some out there, and I'm not throwing shade on it. Men, the toxic masculinity that all these women hate, you got no problem getting in that truck or that car that we built. You have no problem going in the skyscraper that was built by men from toxic masculinity. Yeah. It's
just, and during the 60s when we had the dishwasher, the microwave, all these appliances.
That was the downfall.
Well, who built it?
Men.
Correct. So men made women's lives easier.
Which gave them time, and then it gave them a voice.
Yeah. But see,
I mean that sounds so male chauvinistic, but it's true. Once the dishwasher everything came out, gave women time, then they started. Then they wanted to start marching.
Yeah, but the lack of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? Like, where are the grateful women? Do you know how attractive gratitude is in a woman?
Oh.
It makes a man melt. Mm-hmm. Like when a woman goes, "Honey, thank you so much. Like, thank you for doing that. That was so like." It makes a man feel like I can provide, I can protect. Like they always say, like, you don't want a man, unless somebody's shooting and then you want a man who's going to cover you and protect you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who are in the front lines in these war? It's men. And all women can do it too. I'm like, no. Well, if you're pregnant, I wouldn't want to do that. Nor do I want to. Nor should I want to. Biologically, we are vulnerable. That is evolution. You can fight it all day long, but I get pregnant. And when I'm pregnant, I am physically vulnerable. When I have a baby with me, I'm not going to go defending somebody. Like, I need somebody to protect me and my baby.
Yes.
Like, I need a man. And I need a man's man. Boys need to be boys and men need to be men. Why? Because I need them to be a man. My husband is a man. I am safe. So when you start to make a man feel less than a man, you have robbed yourself of what the capacity of a man to make you feel safe. I'm like, watch your words, woman. Watch the way you show up. And first of all, have command of your thoughts. When you start thinking ill of a man, look who are all the men you're going to attract. Purity of heart is so important. I need to be able to walk in the room and not look at all the wrong things that men did or all the wrong things that women did. I need to be walking in every single room and busy my mind in how I can bring value. Mm-hmm. But see, that's the opposite of self-absorbed. Look at me, feminist, look at my selfie, look at my worth, look at my bag. I mean, it's me, me, me. That is the opposite of womanhood. And that is biological. But by the time we have a baby, it's no longer about us. And we know that because we are so protective of our young. Like, I can sacrifice my back pain. I didn't sleep for hours. I know because I'm willing to die for this child. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite. We are made for life and to give life. But a woman has no life from within because she doesn't know her value. She will never be capable of recognizing life. And that's why pro-choice is a massive sort of rah movement, because women who have no life, who are basically preaching why we need to kill life from within. It's a tragedy.
It really is. And it's so horrible to watch and see.
Yeah. And by the way, the men are not being valued. In the court system, women are getting the children.
Yeah, let's talk equality.
It's not. It's
here's my question on equality. As a girl's dad, I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
I want my daughters to have everything that I have the right to do. Why are these women protesting equality? What do I have for rights that my daughters don't have?
None. Not in America, I will say.
Oh, for sure. I'm talking America.
Yeah, but I say this because they'll say, well, if you look at Africa and if you look at, I'm like, well, then go protest for women in Africa.
Yeah, I don't care.
Go protest into sort of this other. But if you look at the West, right, we have more freedom than any other time in history, than any other woman in the world. We have freedom. We are abusing our freedom.
Yeah, so why are y'all crying about the dumbest shit?
A, because they are not thinking. B, because we're unfulfilled, we find something to make us fulfilled, which is some cause that actually makes us feel good about who we are, because we don't actually feel good inside.
White liberal women. Again, that's the root of all evil.
When you lack purpose, it's cancerous.
Yeah. And
when you have money and you lack purpose, it's
crazy to me, because this is a genuine question. Like, we're protesting and all these women are marching around and we want rights. We want what men have. What? Okay. As a girl dad, how do I lock arms with all of you women that are protesting equal rights? What do I have that my daughters don't have the right to do?
Yeah. And they can't answer it, by the way, because if you see those, when they have questions,
well, then they're screaming in your face. But this is my genuine question as a dad. Like, mm-hmm. I watch this. I see it. Mm-hmm. We want rights. We want men have more rights. What do I have? Nobody's been able to answer this. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want the right to be able to kill a baby without?
That's what the rights are actually.
That's the only thing I could think of.
That's the only right they're actually screaming for.
Which they do. The men, let's say I got a woman pregnant, she does not have to notify me. I have no decision if she gets an abortion or not. Yeah. That's a right that she has. I don't have. Yeah. Okay, cool. There's a right that you have, I don't have. What rights do I have that a woman doesn't have? Mm-hmm. And maybe somebody can answer this. I fought for this country for freedoms and rights, yes. Okay? I joined the military, raised my stupid ass hand, went off overseas.
Lay down your life for this country.
What do I have that my daughters don't have the right to do?
But there isn't. That's when I say that, when they ask it, when you ask them, they can't, there's no logic. But number 2, they'll talk about, Africa. I'm like, then they can't say it. So there isn't really actually, they'll talk about like gender pay. And it's like, it's actually now been debunked so many times.
Well, the whole gender pay thing has been debunked since the WNBA came out.
It has been debunked. Well, yeah, but
that's the best example of you suck. Like, do better and you'll get, no, if you're going to be I know some powerhouse women that are more money. They're Oprah rich, and they've built it. good for you.
Yeah.
That's just like their husbands did, just like any of us have the right to do.
Your daughter has that right. I have that right.
And now, if
Your
you
wife
want
has
to
that
play
right.
this woman, I'm a woman and I should be paid more. No, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
go work harder. You're getting outperformed.
Yeah.
You're getting outperformed. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to hire a bunch of nagging ass women that are going to be in the office bitching about everything all day.
Yeah.
I want a bunch of worker bees. These dudes are going to come in, get the job done. That's the reality of the world, but we're so sensitive to say it. Now, if you want to bring me a team of women that are going to slit throats and step on everything in the way to get the job done because they're qualified for it and they're the best at that position, sign up. I have no problem hiring you.
Yeah, but that's the DEI hire, right? I mean, it's really, it's like, well, let's just sign up because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Right? And here's the thing. At the end of the day, we get paid by the value we bring society, right? Mm-hmm. So if WNBA is not actually bringing value because nobody's buying their tickets, then you have to work a little bit harder. And by the way, they get paid more in contrast to, NBA when you actually look at the numbers.
Oh, but how many fans are not in the seats?
Yeah, the deficit's 40 million every single year. And so this idea is the fallacy and the inconsistency is it's equality actually really means only if it's me, if it's women. That's really what
for
the
me,
equal
not
rights.
for thee. Yeah.
Correct. Not for me, but not for thee. It's really equality when it matters most to me. But it's not equality because boys are not getting equal treatment. No. Boys are getting, told they're bad at a very young age. Boys are underperforming. Mm-hmm. If we really want equality, then let's really talk about what's happening in the court system.
Why does every mom get full custody?
Yes, exactly.
Why is it that a woman could say, "Oh, I have a buddy right now going through a horrible,
it's so sad,
horrible divorce. He's never touched his kids that I know of, and I've known this guy a long time. Never has laid a hand on his kids. His wife goes to court. He's a war veteran. He's got guns and he's crazy. Whoop! Everything yanked from him just from a statement. How is that equal? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meanwhile, she's this ratchet ass person doing everything she can just for that. Why? Yeah. How is that equal?
Yeah, the Me Too movement was believe everything that a woman says.
Oh, for sure.
We don't even look at a woman's character. We don't. So men at our this is why men don't ask women out. They're afraid to open doors. They're afraid to do anything masculine because they're afraid what women are capable of. And so I've got one of our really good friends, amazing guy. His wife went to Spain with his 2 sons. He moved to Spain just to be with his son. I mean, great guy, And she's literally just making, his life miserable. I mean, the court was so unjust, right? But if you talk about equality, we can just look at the stats of male and female right now. Who has more opportunities? Women.
100%.
More women are graduating. And
schools are built for women.
Schools are built for women. Everything is sort of built for women. Oh, and then when they talk about sort of, gender gap and equality, it's because they're talking about the CEOs. Like they're talking about, more CEOs are men. Why? Because I think women choose to have babies, right? They want to have more women in the technology, right? In the tech, but women are not choosing, even though it's available for them. Why? Because women know that what's best for them is not actually to be on the CEO where they're working 60 hours a day.
Away from a family.
Yes, like they're not choosing it. And so when you look at right now, men are working longer hours. Mm-hmm. So yes, women are getting paid less, but they're working less hours or they're kind of working from home. Men are the ones that are doing the hard labor and getting completely pummeled for doing all the hard stuff because somehow everyone's a misogynist. Mm-hmm. And this is why I think that good women need to speak up and actually talk about the importance of protecting men.
Yeah.
Because who's getting sidelined are good, hardworking men.
And
fathers who are doing the best that they can. They get sort of clumped up into this kind of stereotype. And women are becoming more liberal and men are becoming more conservative.
Yep.
But the problem is that who's our daughters meeting?
Yeah, they're not meeting in the middle.
I mean, it's they're not meeting. They're not, the dating world is a mess right now because they're all undertrained, but nobody's meeting each other and you put in promiscuity in there. I mean, it goes back to, we have to go back to some of the basic training, Bam. And that's what it sort of boils down to me, and we know that there's sort of this generation is like, they're probably going to be just kind of like angry feminists, right? But we have to catch the next generation.
Yep.
We have to be like, what do we need to do to counter a movement that has literally emasculated a whole society and has robbed women of her value. We have to start talking about the solution.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to build a school for women. And trust me, I tell women all the time, because motherhood, I'm like, piece of cake. I love my home life, but I feel so indebted and called, like this is my life's work. This is what God put me in to be a teacher. I'm a teacher at heart. I teach women for a living. That's what I do. I train you.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we have to use the gifts and our purpose to do what I think is noble for this world. Otherwise, I will be unfulfilled.
Yep.
And it's the same thing for all of us. But the starting point is that we have to invest in ourselves.
So how do we find you? Where are these women coming to for this program? Where do we start? As a woman, where do they start?
We can go to the New Woman Masterclass.
Okay.
There's a 14-day free trial. You can do it self-study, or you can do it with a group,
Okay.
and that to me is the class that every woman needs. It's the class that thousands of women are taking. That's the starting point. It's the foundational training that we have. Doctors are using it, psychiatrists, lawyers,
Really?
everyone is using it. Why? Because even when you go to therapy, you still need to learn hundreds of skills after you unlock.
Absolutely.
And because there's no comprehensive training that we offer. I mean, this is 25 years of taking really big concepts and making it bite-sized and applicable. So that's the most foundational training. It's very comprehensive. It's a master's on you.
Okay.
It's self-mastery. So that's where you go. There's a 14-day free trial. Try it. I believe in it. And I just think that is our starting point is, you know what? I have to take ownership in who I am as a woman. I am either part of the problem or part of the solution. And I think to be part of the solution, we have to rise up and train up.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. It's fascinating to me. It's sad that we're here.
Our work has just begun. I think your work has just begun, Bam. You have a lot to offer. You've raised beautiful daughters. You're a great husband.
I'm so torn. I'm so torn with it because not in like a gatekeeping type of way. It's just, God, I don't know if I want to I don't know. I'm torn. I want to put them out there. I want the world to see the quality of daughters that I'm raising, but at the same time, I don't, because I don't feel that they deserve them. I feel it's a privilege to know us as a family and how we're doing it. But at the same time, if I can help a father just connect with his daughter, or like, that's one of the biggest things I pride myself on, is being able to talk.
Yeah. She's such a gift.
Not doing it. Nope.
But it's
So anyways,
beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, I think the biggest gift you've given me is your reverence for your daughter and your wife. Like beauty can change the world. That's what you give me. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
And I say that with you because if it was my choice, I would be living a hidden, quiet life.
I can't wait.
I love my life so much. Like, I have a beautiful, simple life, But at the end of the day, too much is given, much is expected.
Yep.
And so that's why I do it. I'm not suggesting that you do, I'm just suggesting.
I know. And like I was saying, it's hard because I want to be able to help where I can. But at the same time, it's like, then you're putting yourself out there even more. And my goal is to disappear. Like, I would love to walk into a studio, we knock out a podcast, and that's all everybody ever see is that part of my life. But I have so many fathers that reach out, and it's overwhelming sometimes when I'll put things out about my kids or whatever it may be. And so many dads are like, man, I've watched you for 10, 12 years on this platform go from this meathead Marine trigger puller to this father that's
admires his daughter,
loves my kids. And so it's, if I can do it, anybody can. I was broken. I had so much hate. I fought the world. I mean, I got the scars and broken bones to prove it. I was that person. So much hate and anger, and it took my wife just chipping a woman. Took a good woman of chipping and correcting me, but in the right way, not in front of our children, not belittling me in front of in our conversations. It was always, hey, they're not your Marines.
You're a rich man, Bam.
You're a father. They're your daughters. You don't need to tell them to put on their big boy pants. They're not. That's not. And it took that over, because that's just, I guess as a man, I wasn't taught. My dad, incredible father. He sacrificed so much for us, but there was a lot of things he didn't teach us, and that was one of them, of being a husband. Even though I got to watch by example, they had an incredible marriage, still do, but there wasn't that.
You still needed training.
100%.
That's what,
and
yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet my wife, which she is just a stubborn ass woman that just never gave up on me and just chipped and chipped and chipped, and then I would work on her on certain things, and she would be wanting the coddling, and I'd be like, no, like so we had that mutual relationship, and then it's evolved into what it is now. And I'm so grateful for her, because I don't even know where we would be if I didn't listen, or she wasn't just constant working on me. But it's teaching. And I wish I would have learned it at a much earlier age. I wish there was a program for dads, or, you know, knowing you now would have been nice 15 years ago, because I feel like now I would be so much more of a better father now if I had little kids. Sure. I told the wife, I got snipped. There's no going back. I had them remove any chance of ever reconnecting. But we were talking about that not too long ago. I'm like, God, I would love to have a baby right now. And my wife's like, you are fucking now. And I'm like, well, I'm just a completely different person. We've gone through so many chapters, and we've gone through so many different versions of ourselves throughout our marriage. Now I feel, because I've learned so much, I've matured so much, everything is different. My buddies, and it's hilarious, because my buddies see me now and they're like, bro, like, who are you? Like, none of them talking to they're like, we love who you are. Especially like my true friends, like my military buddies that have known me from early teenager years to now. They're like, we have no idea who you've become, but it's incredible.
You're living exactly what we teach. But I'm just saying.
But it took a long time, and I didn't have anybody teaching me. That's why this program that you're offering is so incredible, because there's so many moms out there, and I watch it, that are just little things.
Yeah, it's the little things.
Little tweaks can and I didn't have drastic changes when my wife was working on me. There wasn't these overnight, I'm just this miracle man. It was, hey.
It's the Beauty and the Beast story.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, she never lowered her standard.
Nope.
But she believed in you.
Yep.
She saw greatness in you when you couldn't see it in yourself, and she didn't budge.
Yep.
That's the kind of woman that raises masculinity. I mean, honestly, everything that you're sharing with me, a woman has elevated you, Bam.
100%.
But like, what I mean by that is that that's an incredible story of what a woman is capable of, that you, in the depths of your misery, that what you were capable of as a man could become this incredible man because of a love of a woman.
And faith.
And faith. And that, I think, is the umbrella of this all, is at the end of the day, God needs to come back to our homes,
Absolutely.
to our country, to our marriages. And that's what you told me about your wife. Is like, she never gave up faith on me. She taught you, she prayed for you. I mean, can you imagine that? You know, like that's a form of spiritual nurture, that your wife prayed for you. So what am I saying to you? Like, you have been loved into freedom by a woman who never gave up on you, who believed in you. And in the quiet of your day-to-day life, she raised you to be the man that you are right now, who doesn't need anything. Do you see what I mean? You're fulfilled. Yes. Like, that's exactly why I do what I do. Because when a woman knows who she is, and she has the capacity and the training, just as her wife did,
it's incredible.
She makes a man out of a man.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And you're living testimony of it.
Good for you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's probably not easy. It's not easy. And I give so much credit to quality moms, involved moms. Anybody, just like a dad or a father, anybody can claim the title as a father, but to hold that title as a dad, that's what separates fathers from dads. Yes. Everybody gets to celebrate Father's Day, but the true dads know. Same with moms. And to watch a mom be as invested in her children as she is in everything else, to me, that is like the ultimate
woman.
Oh, I'm good. That's all I need. Yeah. And the fact that you're helping these women, if they choose family life or just for themselves, to be able to learn. Or both. Hopefully it's both, because it's when you finally, everything comes together and you sit back one day and you watch the quality of kids you have. We don't live in a big home. We had a truck that's from 2014. I got it as a severance package when I left my job. I could go, we can go buy, we live a very simple life, but I am happier.
A beautiful life.
I would not change my life with anybody else's.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
I had a guest come on, and he said it. Logan, he was a good buddy of mine. He's worked with dudes that are worth billions of dollars, and he works with these guys. And I used to do executive security, so we're in these very wealthy guys' lives. We're involved in them, and I agreed with him. Not one person I've ever worked for that had everything: the mansions, the supercars, the yachts. I would never be like, man, I would trade everything I have right now for this guy.
You're the richest man, and that's what I think. The same thing with a woman.
100%.
And that's why I go back to, we need training, because I think your wife didn't give up on you, and this is, you're living your dream life.
I am.
I am. And I'm living my dream life.
And it's pretty awesome.
It's that's what I want to tell women. I said, if you just understood your sexuality, it is so beautiful. It is so inspiring if you understand what it is.
And how to use it.
And how to use it for God and with God. That is the art of being a woman.
Women have crumbled empires.
Yeah.
And if we can just go back to teaching women how to
be a woman.
You can control everything.
Yeah.
Except for this country. You'll never be able to run this country. But
women need to control themselves.
to control themselves.
That's really what it is. It's the discipline of the interior woman.
Yes.
And I think that's the first thing to conquer, is our own interior life.
Yep.
And that's why I go back to the quote, is the most dangerous woman is an undisciplined, emotional woman who has no purpose. You can probably follow up that with, you know who that is?
Liberal white women.
Sorry, I did not say that.
Only liberal white women.
They're everyone's got their own wounds, but
Change my mind. Liberal white women are the root of all evil.
I did not go out of my mouth. Okay.
I'm gonna clip that with just your face. So
with AI right now.
Watch, everyone's gonna be like, "Yes, who are these people?" They're right. No, I'm just kidding, because I know you don't. There's not a side for you, but there is for me. I
want to reach those women too.
They need you. They're the ones that need you the most.
They don't want to listen to me.
So I know none of them are listening to this podcast, but if there are the husbands out there that are married to a liberal woman, hey, you know where to reach us in January.
They usually shut it. They 8 kids, they sort of shut it. Yeah, and that's sort of like baby maker. I'm like, I've also built a multi-million-dollar business in 2 years. Yeah. It's. But I'm like, that's not my claim to fame. But you already shut down. And because women are so conditioned to believe that motherhood is bad, that when you have all these children, all of a sudden it must just be a hard life. And so and here's the thing, the fruits will not lie. The fruit of your marriage, the fruit of your daughter, and how I met her, in my small encounter with her, her presence, her gentleness, her confidence. I teach women for a living. I can spot a good woman. I know that. I've done this 25 years. And so I experience her beauty. It's kind, it's sincere, it's genuine, it's strong, there's a humility about it. I mean, then I go home and I'm like, that changed me. That there was a 16-year-old beautiful woman who's here working for her father.
Which is not easy.
But do you see what I mean? It's such a beautiful thing, And so that to me is why I do what I do.
Good.
Because it's worth it. When this is it, the fruits cannot lie. Mm-hmm. The fruits will never lie. And that's why when these, feminists, I'm like, show me your home, show me your children, show me your marriage. And usually it's crumbling.
Every time. Well, thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you, Bam. I'm so grateful.
This was a hard one for me. It was super emotional.
And I think because there's such goodness in you.
Somewhere in there, after you peel back some of the layers, but this was a great conversation. I loved it because it solidifies what we're doing as parents. Because you question, as parents, you always question if you're doing the right thing, if you're making the right decisions, but to hear just your points, the 5 A's, and what makes a woman happy, and I mean that's all I want.
You're living it.
I want that for my daughters, and trying. So
Your daughters are very blessed to have you.
thank you.
Sincerely. You're
Thank you.
very, very blessed.
I appreciate it.
It's even good dads don't know how to love their daughters well,
Yeah.
and you're doing it well.
Well, thank you. I try.
So.
No way. I know I'm not perfect, but
No one is. But pretty awesome.
cut this shit.
That's authentic masculinity, not this like don't cry. It's like no, there's appropriate ways, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just
cool to see.
And that's why I think you need to be sharing it. And that's why I'm not pushing you, but I'm sort of.
I'm only crying because she's crying.
Oh.
So I keep getting looks. I love you, kid. All right.
Thank you. Oh, thanks, Vam. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Great.
You're a great man. I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Haven't always been, but working on it.
But that's the gift, you know. And I think that this is going to be great for all the men in your podcast world. I think.
Well, I can definitely say you're the first one to get me to cry.
Oh, really? I'll put that as my badge of honor.
Yeah,
No,
I was not expecting this episode, but yeah, here we are.
Oh,
I was fighting it the whole time.
I could see it. I was like, oh, you could let it out.